Switch to Verizon and we'll pay off your old phone. Up to $800 via prepaid MasterCard so you can get a new one. Just trade in any phone from our top brands on any unlimited plan. With new line on my plan. Additional terms apply for trade-in and pay off your phone offer. See Verizon.com for details.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The Adam Gold Show.
I felt like Philadelphia would win. And what we call that is, at least I do, blind squirrel theory. The game played out, sort of, as I thought it would. That never happens.
Chiefs looked like garbage.
Well, I did not anticipate the Chiefs to be blown out.
Embarrassment.
But exactly what I thought would happen, happened. That never happened.
The Adam Gold Show, weekdays starting at noon on 99.9 The Fan.
Bonuses used to be everywhere. Boxes of cereal, a baker's dozen, airline upgrades, even without quadruple diamond platinum status. Life is better with the bonus. That's why the North Carolina Education Lottery is adding bonus chances to multiply your win on Multiply the Cash scratch-offs. More chances than ever to win over $140 million in total prizes. Because everything is better with a bonus. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning range from 1 in 3.31 to 4.86. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
Everyone deserves a fast and reliable connection. One that helps better their everyday through the things they value most. Friends and family, education and career. A connection that opens pathways to opportunity and builds roads to a better future. At Spectrum, we're committed to delivering just that every single day. Because with the right connection, anything is possible. That's Life Unlimited. That's Spectrum.
Breaking news coming in from Bet365, where every nail-biting overtime win, breakaway, pick six, three-point shot, underdog win, buzzer beater, shootout, walk-off, and absolutely every play in between is amazing. From football to basketball and hockey to baseball, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. 21 plus only.
Welcome to Take 5 Oil Change.
Hey, which way is your waiting room?
Oh, you can stay in your car. It only takes 10 minutes.
I can stay in? Get out. I better find a good playlist to listen to while I wait. EDM? Nah. Oh, what about something classical? Nah. You got any suggestions?
Dad rock?
Now you speaking my language.
Take 5. The stay in your car 10-minute oil change.
Zero Res wants to give your home the love and attention it deserves. This month, get 3 rooms of carpets cleaned, starting at $109, and take $100 off your air duct cleaning. Book online anytime at ZeroResRaleigh.com.
It's bow time.
A leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99?
Leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99?
So crispy.
So crispy.
And juicy.
And juicy.
So much flavor.
So much.
Stop it. What are you doing?
What, you expect me to get this delicious deal and not say anything?
You're unbelievable.
You're unbelievable.
With a boldly seasoned leg and thigh, choice of fixin', a biscuit, and legendary iced tea, it's a deal so good it's worth repeating. So eat and repeat while it lasts. It's bow time.
It's bow time. Dine in, drive through, or tap your favorite delivery app and have Bojangles come to you. Satisfy your craving for flavor right now with Bojangles 2-piece dinner. 2 pieces of Bojangles dark meat chicken, your choice of fixin', a biscuit, and iced tea for just $5.99. That's right, just $5.99 for limited time at participating Bojangles. What are you waiting for? When you're hungry, it's always bow time.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com. WCMC-FM HD1 Holly Springs. This is the Adam Gold Show.
1 minute to play. Cooper for the lead. Got it! A 3 from the left, and it's 71-70. Cooper Flag doing his thing. can take the lead with a bucket. 30 seconds left. Parker over the timeline. They won't take the timeout. 3-second differential. Left wing Parker off a Jif screen. Kicks it up top style. Steps into a three. It's blocked. Rebound. Parker lays it in right side. 15 seconds left. Timeout called.
If only that game had ended better. Hi, everyone. It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria is here.
Hi. On this rainy Wednesday.
Hi. That was very cheery.
Hump day.
Yeah, there you go.
Trying to get through it. You know.
Do you feel that way about Wednesdays?
No, I mean, it's just the middle of the week. It's
Yeah.
super gray in our neck of the woods.
It
if
is
you're
ugly.
in Raleigh. It's probably like that all over North Carolina, though. But, sometimes people need a little pep in their step.
There you go.
A little pick me up.
That's why Al Gore invented caffeine.
I know. Thank goodness for that.
Find the lie. We are here on YouTube every day. Hi, YouTube audience. YouTube.com/Adam Gold Show /999 The Fan. We're going to try a mailbag segment today at some point.
Nice.
So I've already I solicited questions last night, both on Twitter and Blue Sky. I thought we would call this "Sky's the Limit."
Okay, there you go.
Yes, we're not going to call it that. Trust me. We rarely have catchy phrases for things that we do here. But I got a lot of questions about the Hurricanes, obviously. So we'll address some of those questions a little bit later on. I don't exactly know when.
Okay.
We have a lot of things to do today.
Yeah.
Brendan Marks is going to join us this hour. It's hard to keep track with all of the really cool stuff that Brendan writes. He did a profile of Cooper Flagg and why he fits so well at Duke and what's next and all of that. And I'm not even sure we're going to get to that much. But the one he wrote for yesterday's release wasn't the only one. He had I think Matt Baker or somebody corroborated on it with him about North Carolina's behind-the-scenes maneuvering, not necessarily investigation, into whether or not they could find a new home in terms of conference realignment. So we got a lot of things to do. We might as well just go ahead and do them. All right. Duke and State are back at it tonight, playing basketball, both at home. Cal is at Cameron. Louisville is at the Big ThinkPad here in Raleigh. Different challenges for both teams. Duke should roll. State probably won't roll. I hope they compete, and we'll talk about that. Again, I referred to the story of Brendan Marks corroborated on in The Athletic with regards to UNC trying to investigate, position themselves to leave the ACC when it comes crumbling down. We have a lot of people who have great desire for better, and I don't necessarily think that's a terrible thing. But I also think we have a lot of people that might not have really best intentions. I think there's a lot of self-serving for many of those people. But at the same time, I understand why you want better for your university. So I'm not going to completely, dump all over that. There was a code word. Carolina Blue was a code word for what?
Oh.
I don't know that it's the code red.
Yeah.
From A Few Good Men.
Or the drink.
Or the drink. Could be.
Mountain Dew.
Or the sky. But we'll talk to Brendan Marks about that. Michael Lombardi held a fireside chat yesterday in Chapel Hill. The football program's general manager dug into the details of creating a professional program at UNC, so we'll talk about that a little bit. Four Nations Face-Off begins tonight. Elias Lindholm and Sweden will take on Seth Jarvis's Team Canada.
Right.
8 o'clock on TNT. John Forsland will join us later on in the program to discuss that. But we are going to start with the human lightning rod, that is Cam Newton.
Oh, boy.
Yep.
Do we have to?
So I had heard about it yesterday, then last night I'd seen some stories written, and I found the soundbite that we're going to play here, and I also saw the reaction from Steve Smith. So Cam Newton was on Travis Hunter's podcast. Of course Travis Hunter has a podcast.
Why not? He's not even in the
Of course
NFL.
it doesn't matter.
Nope.
Of course he's got a what took him so long? I don't know. He might have had this for like 5 years. I have no idea. So anyway, Hunter is seeking advice, or maybe Cam is just offering advice on being the first overall pick, because I assume that Travis Hunter is going to be the first overall pick, because he should be. And here's what Cam had to say.
When I was the first pick, I went into a locker room of losers. How did you handle the pressure of being the top pick? Let's put it in perspective. You're the top pick because what? Leave play. No. You're looking at it from a personal situation. I'm talking about from the professional situation. You're the top pick because that was the worst team in the NFL the year before. For me, I wanted to be the number one pick. You could potentially be the first pick, but bro, you have no way of impacting the game like a quarterback does. You can lock down the number one receiver. You can make impact plays on offense all you want, but it's still not like a quarterback. My issue is when I was the first pick, I went into a locker room of losers. Guys didn't know how to win. Guys didn't know how to prepare. It was a culture shock for me. The games don't mean a lot to a lot of people in the league like you would expect. It's just money. Not everybody has capabilities to be impact players. They're just players.
Oh boy.
I'm just so disappointed.
Okay, I know you are. And let's start with your feeling about Cam.
It's whack. And as a Cam supporter, I bought his jerseys when everyone complained about the hat he was wearing or the towel he had over his head or, the face he was making. I always had his back, and I do not have his back with this because that team, that locker room that you walked into was not a bunch of losers. They actually went 12-14 2 years before that. That team had Jonathan Stewart, D'Angelo Williams, John Casey, a bunch of guys that helped you get to the Super Bowl as well. That's what teams do. Woo! He was my QB1, but I do not support that.
Well said. Steve Smith agrees.
Yes.
Which is not a surprise. Agrees with you.
Yes.
Not a surprise. We'll get to that in a minute.
What just feels like he's trying to be Stephen A. Jr. with his take.
See, this is where Cam sometimes gets out over his skis. I think he's sometimes misinterpreted, and I'll explain why in a second. But he has occasion to get out over his skis anyway. So I'm not completely surprised that he seemed to jump in with both feet on somebody. Okay? I'm also convinced of this, though. Sometimes I think, not sometimes, most times, Cam speaks in his own font.
Yes.
Right?
Which I've also supported that weird font.
I think the font is fun. But I don't think there's a literal translation to English.
Right.
Right? So I'm not sure he means it exactly the way it's coming out. I absolutely believe this. So we've made fun of different things that he said, like hindsight is 50-50, things like that. We're on this hiatus from losing, which frankly, both of those things were true.
Yeah.
Right? Both of those things were true. 50-50, which would just mean, in this case, things you see from 50 feet, you should be able to see from 50 feet.
Right.
Right? And a hiatus from losing means we've taken a break from losing. Like, there's nothing actually incorrect about that statement. But he didn't really mean it. Anyway.
Yeah.
So, my point is that I don't think Cam truly meant it that way. And it was a team in transition. But does anybody really believe that he meant that about Steve Smith or about Jonathan Stewart or D'Angelo Williams or Jordan Gross or Jeff Schwartz or John Beeson or Charles Johnson?
That's just so disrespectful.
Right. I don't believe he meant it about those players.
Well, you're a grown man and you work in media, and he needs to shape himself because that was rude.
Well,
and I am not a fan of that. I think he is better than that, and he is proving me wrong. What a baby. That's just just rude.
We're couple. Look, I think Cam was wrong to say it the way he said it.
Yes.
I think there is a point that Cam is trying to make that isn't about those players. Though.
Right. And
okay?
I understand that.
So
he just could have dressed that up a little better.
Yeah, but here's the thing that we need to understand about Cam.
He
doesn't do that ever. Ever. He wasn't wrong last year with talking about playmakers and game managers. Right?
No.
Right? He wasn't, or game changers and game managers. He wasn't wrong about that, but it was taken. Mm-hmm. It was taken incorrectly by too many people.
Right.
Right. So, like, I understand what he's getting at, but it was done so inartfully that people like Steve Smith couldn't help but take it wrong. Smith blasted him on Twitter. Always the right place to handle those things.
That's a Panther. Smith will always be my dude.
He will. Okay, but here's this. And I had a personal interaction with Steve Smith about Cam Newton.
Mm-hmm.
So we were at the Super Bowl. It's actually the year where the Panthers were in the Super Bowl.
Oh.
And Steve Smith was making the rounds on Radio Row. So we're out there. And Smith was of a certain stage. He's still playing, I believe. He was of a certain stature that, man, if you could get any time with Steve Smith, you just took it. So Steve didn't have time to sit down at our table. So we were able to do a walk and talk with Steve.
Right.
So wherever he was headed,
on the go.
If you could get 4 minutes walking with Steve wherever, you could tape something. And we did. And we got about maybe a minute and a half in. I'm not sure it was that long. And I asked him, because the Panthers are in the Super Bowl and Cam Newton's about to win the MVP, I asked him about Cam. And Steve was like, that's it. Done. He did not want to talk about the MVP of the league.
Right.
Steve and Cam did not vibe. They sort of made some concessions later in life. When Cam was still the quarterback, when Steve was done playing, they sort of made, like, they buried the hatchet to an extent, but I think Steve still wanted to reach in and grab it and wield it. Steve did not like the fact that Cam was taking over his team. He didn't. I'm not blaming Steve for that. I think that is a natural feel because he was one of the leaders. And Cam was a different cat. He was not wired like Steve was wired. He was a lot more, like, Steve was all business.
Yeah.
Nasty.
Yeah.
Cam was not that type of a player. Cam, I mean, he was a physical player. He was a hard-nosed player, but he was not a nasty player. He was not a get-down-in-the-mud type of a guy. He worked hard. That nobody could ever say. You ask Greg Olsen about Cam Newton.
Oh, yeah.
You will get only the best from Greg Olsen about Cam Newton. Now, Steve didn't like him. He didn't like him from the beginning. He didn't like him when the team chose Cam over Steve. He held that grudge, and he probably still holds that grudge. So, that to me is where Steve Smith is coming from. That doesn't mean Steve Smith is wrong, by the way. All right, before I mention a couple of more things here.
Well, and I think on that same note, it just shows team mentality versus individual mentality, because Cam already showed us that he cared more about Mr. MVP than he did Super Bowl. So to me, it's just he's kind of validating, like, okay, well, maybe behind the scenes you're showing a little more, because I always thought he was for the team. I always thought he was a team guy. But team guys don't talk about their team like that.
Right. You and I disagree on the how important that comment was about I'd rather keep my MVP than have a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Okay. But I want you to do we have the Jonathan Stewart clip?
Mm-hmm.
All right, here's Jonathan Stewart, who does a podcast called Believe in Panthers. There's a whole Believe network. Stewart talking about what Cam had to say.
Everyone every now and then says things, the wrong way or didn't intend for it to be said certain ways, and I have fault to that as well. I mean, ask my wife. You know what I'm saying? It's not about the number of losers or winners. It's about guys coming together collectively and finding that spark that brings everything together. And that takes time. I think that is more so the clarity that should have been had. But as you can tell, I had time to think about this.
Yeah,
Cam on the spot trying to give Travis Hunter some advice. Shout out to Steve Smith, for standing up for guys that most likely won't say anything, right?
Yeah.
And same to Charles Johnson, right? That's what made our locker room special. Was that it was when things were said wrong, people held those people accountable. But I will say, Cam Newton absolutely and genuinely does care about his teammates. He played with that heart on his chest. It was his heart, but it was for the collective.
All right, so had Cam, if I could edit Cam's statement to insert, yes, we had Steve Smith, Jonathan Stewart, D'Angelo Williams, Charles Johnson, John Beeson, yada, 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 yada. We had some leaders and winners in that locker room, but we had too many players who didn't know how to win, which is how you go 2-14. Also, you go 2-14 because Jimmy Clausen is your quarterback. It was a team in transition because a couple of years prior, you mentioned Victoria, they went 12 and 4. I was 12 and 14. That's too many games. Eventually, teams will be going 12 and 14
just at the Super Bowl.
in the
They
NFL.
won their division. I mean,
right.
Had to get there somewhere.
That was the end of the Jake Delhomme era.
Yes.
Right. Jake that year, 12 and 4, good year, playoffs, disaster.
Hasn't talked crap about the team.
No, Jake was a great Carolina Panther.
Yep.
No question about it.
Still works with them.
He does. And I love Jake Delhomme.
Yes.
So, but Delhomme the following year wasn't very good. Might have gotten hurt. Matt Moore took over. Steve Smith was all about Matt Moore the following year, and then Jimmy Clausen became the quarterback.
Ugh.
Right? But I think Moore started, didn't do well. Clausen came in, also didn't do well, and ultimately they were tanking the season to get Cam Newton. So if Cam had couched his comment by saying we had some guys and then rattled them off, but primarily we were a locker room of players who didn't have a winning mentality. And here's why I say that. It was a team, if you look at the roster when Cam got there, it was a team that had too many players on the fringe of the league. It's kind of how you go 2-14. They were probably more concerned with staying in the league than giving it all for the team. Because that's what happens when you're going badly. Everybody's thinking, well, look, I know there's going to be 40% turnover to this roster. I am about showing myself to the league so I could get a job next year. They're trying to stay employed. Whether it's you're employed by the Panthers or employed by the Detroit Lions, doesn't matter to them. Because Cam mentioned, they're drawing a paycheck. It's about getting paid. And that's a big chunk of the NFL are guys who are just trying to string this out as long as possible. And sometimes you don't know how to do that. If you are a young player in the NFL, you probably don't know that the best way to play for 7 years is to be one of those players that does it for the team, because those are the guys that, hey, they make your roster because of special teams, and then all of a sudden you get an opportunity and you step in. Yeah. It's hard to convince players on the fringe of the NFL, maybe more so than any other sport, because the career spans are so small. It's probably harder to convince those players to sacrifice for the team because they're trying to make a living. They're trying to keep the money coming in as long as they possibly can. With all of that said, it was a stupid thing to say.
Sure.
It was disrespectful to the players like Jonathan Stewart and Steve Smith and Jordan Gross and Jeff Schwartz and Travell Wharton. Yeah, guys who ultimately he helped bring to a Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So...
And I'm not saying he's wrong either in if you did sugarcoat what he said. Yes, not every team is full of winners. And
they were 2-14. He was right about that.
Right. So he's not completely wrong. It's just the way he said it was disrespectful and classless. And it's just, I hate that because I liked him a lot. I thought more of him. All
we heard was he called the Panthers losers. That's all we heard. And you're not wrong. Because that's exactly what he did. But that's where Cam hurts Cam. Because I'm sure he doesn't look at Jordan Gross and see a loser. I'm sure of that.
You're right.
Right? One of the things I've always said about Cam, he's a smart football player. He gets it. He understands the game. And if he's a smart football player and understands the game, he knew who the winners were in that locker room.
Sure.
But he lumped everybody together. Maybe he did so for brevity. Maybe he didn't know it would become, it would go viral. No, he did.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah, that may have been the whole motive.
It could have been. And that's no good either.
No.
But, I just refuse to believe that he was referring, and I think Jonathan Stewart also is in this boat. He's not really referring to Steve Smith, although maybe he is referring to Steve Smith because he and Steve, I don't think they vibe.
I might keep his jersey, but it's staying in the drawer.
Oh, there you go. All right. A little bit later on, we are going to talk about Michael Lombardi and what he had to say. I want to hear one quick thing from Lombardi with regards to this experiment, if you will. And it's basically how Lombardi plans to take the program with Bill Belichick, of course. Michael Lombardi is the general manager of UNC football. Bill Belichick is the head coach. And the entire Belichick family, apparently, is involved. Now, Brian, a son I'd never heard of before until today.
The other one.
Yes, the other Belichick kid. He is on staff now as well. Stephen Belichick is I guess the defensive coordinator.
Is the dog going to be like the new Bat Boy?
That
or
would
something?
be good. I don't know what role the girlfriend plays. I have no idea.
Who knows?
I really don't know, and I'm not here to make any jokes about it. So here's Lombardi on how they believe the program will be different going forward.
Everything we do here is predicated on building a pro team. We consider ourselves the 33rd team because everybody's involved with our program has had some form of aspect in pro football. And Moses, our strength coach, spent a lot of time, 14 years in New England. One thing that's always been important to Coach Belichick is what happens on the field has to happen in the practice field. Practice execution becomes game reality is a sign that used to hang in the Patriots facility. And that's the same thing in the strength room. We're gonna do things that are going to translate to the field.
All right, I'm on board with all of that, okay? I do think there is an outfit that would take umbrage with you calling UNC the 33rd team because Trey Wingo works for the 33rd team, which is an NFL-centric website.
It's a conflict
so
there.
I do think that there will be a cease and desist letter forthcoming in the mail.
Yes.
All right. Here's the bottom line, and we're going to talk about this with Chip Patterson coming up at 1 o'clock. Chip's on a little earlier today. We are trying to cram a lot of things in. Bottom line for me is this. The biggest difference between the ACC and the SEC, between the ACC and the top of the Big Ten, between the top of the Big Ten and the rest of the Big Ten, to be perfectly honest, the biggest difference between the haves and the have-nots in college football is really in one area. It's at the line of scrimmage. I promise you. And I'm going to prove this to you sort of anecdotally because we haven't seen an NFL draft yet. Running backs, wide receivers, cornerbacks, tight ends, quarterbacks, you can find everywhere. Everywhere. But if you look at the current mock drafts, offensive line, defensive line, which includes edge rushers, almost Every one of the first-round players come from the SEC or the top teams in the Big Ten, and here I'm going to run through them. Travis Hunter, the first pick. This is Clinton Yates mock draft. Travis Hunter, okay, he's a cornerback. He's a wide receiver, Colorado. Cleveland Browns, number 2. Abdul Carter, edge, Penn State. The Giants are going to take a quarterback, according to not Clinton Yates, Field Yates, Cam Ward. Patriots, offensive tackle, Will Campbell, LSU. Forget about the teams now. I'm just going to go through the players and where they went to school. Defensive tackle, Mason Graham, Michigan. We skip Shedeur Sanders. Michael Williams, edge, Georgia. Jalen Walker, edge, Georgia. Wide receiver from Arizona. Again, don't care. Offensive tackle, Kelvin Banks Jr., Texas. Josh Simmons, offensive tackle, Ohio State. Go look at any mock draft. If they play on the line of scrimmage, they are by and large from an SEC school or a school at the top of the Big Ten. That is the difference. I'm not sure that creating this pro environment creates that at UNC, but I'm going to have an open mind about it. Because to me, if UNC wants to win, and any school in the ACC wants to win, you better be great at the line of scrimmage. And if you're not great at the line of scrimmage, you have a ceiling. And that ceiling is you can beat teams that are like you. Hey, and maybe Bill can win all of those games. But you're not going to beat teams that are like them. That's the difference. It is at the line of scrimmage. Can UNC be good enough on the line of scrimmage to compete with the best 20 to 25 programs in the country? That's my point. All right, we'll talk about that with Chip Patterson coming up later on. Next, Brendan Marks from The Athletic, who only had like 2 major bombshell stories dropped this week. And we'll talk about the latter one, Carolina Blue. And this is behind the scenes at UNC about football. Next.
Questioning goalie interference calls since day one. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen for the Did He Just Do That?
Johnson trying to step back for a 3. Bring it up. Left side. Boy, that was cold-blooded.
The deep looks from downtown.
Damas from the right block. Gives to Hawkins. Straight on. Triple. Good. They left him open, and he makes him pay.
The Get That Out of Here's.
Bonner to the basket. Rejected by Renew, who saw that one coming.
Your exclusive home for the Final Four. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
If you're like a lot of people I know, you are in need of a midweek boost. Adam Gold here from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. And it is time for the Hump Day Parlays Reward Stack. Every Wednesday, you can get parlay profit boosts on everything from spreads to totals, even player props. So let's make Wednesday a great day. FanDuel.com/Adam Gold. FanDuel.com/Adam Gold. It's the Hump Day Parlays Reward Stack. In the FanDuel app, you'll get your profit boost there. FanDuel.com/Adam Gold. Make every moment more on Hump Day with FanDuel. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. Opt-in required. Maximum wager amount applies. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including token expiration. See terms for both offers at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Get ready. The Chatley Boat Show and Sale is coming to the State Fairgrounds February 14th through the 16th at the Carr Scott Building. It'll be filled to the max with boats ready for immediate delivery featuring Suzuki outboards. Shop center console, runabouts, deck boats, bass boats, pontoons, aluminum boats, and more, all under one roof. Boat Show only savings. Discounts up to $12,000, factory rebates, and special financing on site. The Chatley Boat Show and Sale, February 14th through the 16th at the Carr Scott Building on the State Fairgrounds, featuring Suzuki outboards, free admission, and parking.
This just in, hot off the bench press. Planet Fitness has added new strength equipment. Save when you join today, and you can be one of the first to try it out. We're raising the bar with new benches, and our new hack squat will have you actually looking forward to leg day. Plus, we're still repping all of the best-in-class equipment we've always had. So let's do this. Join Planet Fitness today and save. Just $1 down, $15 a month.
Offer ends February 13th. Join today for $1 down, $15 a month.
See Home Club for details.
Don't go through another year with all that high interest debt. Let Loan Pronto wipe it all out now. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan makes it easy to pay off all your credit cards or tackle that 2025 home improvement project. Get cash in your pocket fast. No appraisals, no paperwork, no waiting. Loan Pronto's AI-driven tech gets you approved and funded in as little as 1 day. One client got $150,000 approved in under 24 hours. Paid off all their credit cards, 2 cars, and a personal loan, saving over $1,500 per month. With low fixed rates and lightning fast transfers, you can do it too. Consolidate debt, improve your home, take control of your finances. Imagine being credit card debt-free by this time next week. Don't wait. Call Loan Pronto now, 919-381-1760, or visit loanpronto.com. Get a free rate quote with no hard credit pull, 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Hey, Mom, I've been meaning to talk to you about some new COVID information I saw online.
Uh-huh.
I read that black folks like us with certain conditions like diabetes, heart disease, mental health conditions, or being 50 and older, like you, are at high risk.
Boy, you sound like a commercial.
I'm just saying. I know you love your ginger teas and essential oils, but remember, there are treatment options for COVID-19.
I promise if I get sick again, I'll call my doctor to ask about my options.
Visit WeTalkWeRise.com to learn more. Brought to you by Pfizer.
Gold. Gold.
Was the hug because of the soft, fuzzy thing you're wearing?
It's a comment. I'm a great hugger. People like to hug me. But yes, it's helpful when I'm soft and fuzzy.
Is that a skill?
It may be, yes.
I think it is a skill.
I think it is a skill.
Yeah.
You know who else gives really great hugs? Mike Meniscalco.
Really?
He is one of my favorite huggers. Yes. Every time I see him, he gives the best hugs.
I'm going to try that at the next home game.
Do it.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria is laughing behind the scenes. Why are we playing this song?
I thought it was funny. We needed a woo-saw moment.
Okay.
I did also put on the Twitters my opinion about Cam, and so people are talking.
Oh yeah,
about
you're preaching to the choir. That's fine. I got no problem with it. By the way, a little bit later on, we have the current. It's not the class. It's the ballot for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame came out today.
Yeah.
So I'll let you know who's on that. Brendan Marks, for as talented as he is, staff writer for The Athletic, past North Carolina Sports Writer of the Year, is not a finalist for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But give him time. He's still a young man. He joins us on the Adam Gold Show. How are you?
I'm doing well, and don't even give my wife the idea. If she hears me singing again, she's going to kick me out of the house.
Oh, do you karaoke?
Not well, but...
it doesn't matter. Nobody karaoke's well, Brendan.
You can't stop what's inside. Let me just put it that way.
I have to ask, what is your go-to?
You know, I'm a horrible singer, but I'm a huge Billy Joel fan. He was like my favorite artist growing up. My parents were a little bit older, so I usually go for a little Billy Joel. That's, as close to passable as I can usually get.
You don't want to, which Billy Joel song? I'm just curious now.
Piano Man was the first song I ever knew all the lyrics to. We're getting very personal here.
We are.
But hey, that's we're at that level right now.
See, Adam just found his duet partner for karaoke.
Well, Billy doesn't do many duet. We could do Baby Graham with Ray Charles.
There you go. I had heard that Billy did a joint concert with Elton John a few years ago.
Oh yeah, they toured for a while.
Right, and I only know of one person who actually went to it. It was Scott Fowler, who works at the Charlotte Observer, and he said it was without a doubt the best concert he's ever been to, and I've been envious looking back ever since.
You know what? I missed that tour, but how could you go wrong with Billy and Elton John? All right, we wasted way too much time on that, but I had a good time, and that's really all that matters for me. So you and who is it? Matt Baker, in The Athletic. You dug into, you got email receipts, if you will, at North Carolina for something called Carolina Blue, which is a code word for, did we ever solve that? What is Carolina Blue the code word for? What did you reveal?
Yeah, so the Carolina Blue matter essentially has been the code name for North Carolina's behind closed doors look into conference realignment and basically seeing what the Tar Heels' options were as the landscape of conference realignment has consistently been changing. And, this is a project that dates back to September 2022. That's when North Carolina first sort of engaged outside counsel trying to look into, hey, legally speaking, what are our options? That obviously was about 14 months after the SEC announced that it was taking in Texas and Oklahoma. It was about 3 months after UCLA and USC announced they were going to the Big Ten. So, again, starting during one of the most volatile times in modern college athletics. And though that investigation, those explorations have continued all the way up through at least November of last year, according to our record. So, I think a lot of people sort of assumed that North Carolina was probably doing its due diligence behind the scenes, but certainly being able to actually put a name, specifically a code name to it all with some receipts was interesting.
I enjoyed the code name. I thought that was very good. Now, I wanted Matter to also be capitalized and made the whole thing was Carolina Blue Matter because that would have been great. But I get Carolina Blue. I kind of likened it to Code Red, but that's was also something that wasn't necessarily a real thing. Brendan Marks from The Athletic is joining us. Who was behind this mostly at UNC?
Yeah, so, I think it's something where obviously Bubba Cunningham, the athletic director, is going to be involved just as the person in charge of the athletic department. But obviously when we are talking about matters of the highest order at North Carolina, this is something that's going to involve the president's office, the chancellor's office, the board of trustees, the general counsel, really the highest profile power players in Chapel Hill, people who would eventually, if North Carolina was ever going to factor into conference realignment in some way beyond what it has so far, which is basically as a bystander, those would be the people who would be pulling the strings, making decisions, having those conversations. So it's not necessarily something that was spearheaded by any one person. However, as you mentioned, we did also receive and obtain an email from John Pryor, who's the chairman of the Board of Trustees, from April of 2024, in which he says very clearly, we need to be looking at ways to get out of a conference that no longer serves us. So especially given Pryor's history, the fact that he was obviously instrumental in North Carolina hiring Bill Belichick, the fact that in January of this year, as the Assembly first reported, the president of the UNC system, Peter Hahn, sent a memo directly to Pryor and the chancellor saying, hey, stay in your lane. Yeah. The fact that the email was coming from Pryor with such strong language is certainly notable as well.
Yeah, and the reason why that's significant is that the Board of Trustees really is just an advisory board. They really have no power, especially over athletics at the university. And Pryor comes off as a big fan. He's butted heads with Bubba Cunningham. He's called him on the carpet. They audited, right? Didn't they audit the athletic department at the behest of John Pryor?
They did, and actually, it's funny. Another line that we have in the email that we obtained is, Bubba Cunningham is the first athletic director to kind of publicly put out there the fact that it would be roughly $600 to $700 million for a team to try to pay its way out of the ACC, both combined via the exit fee and then buying back your media rights for however long would be left on the contract with the ACC. So Bubba Cunningham is the first person who put that out there, and in the email we obtained, Pryor directly goes against that and said, I've got no desire to disagree with our own team, particularly in public, but no one should be making statements that quantify the exit cost at $600 to $7 million. That perception only hurts us. And oh, wait, that was a month before the issue that you're talking about, in which case Pryor had the athletic department audit Bubba Cunningham for his efforts. So the timing of all of this is certainly interesting. It's not a coincidence. Let me put it that way.
Brendan Marks from The Athletic is joining us here. I'm not suggesting in any way, shape, or form that Bubba Cunningham said that first here on this show. But he said it to us. I'm sure he has said it in other places too, because I did the math, and it was clear that there was no way out of the grant of rights, and that ultimately the grant of rights, that media money that would not go with you wherever you went, and that money would come to the ACC instead, plus the exit fee, was going to add up. My feeling was even if you settled, you would settle at $500 million, and that would be on the low end. That's just doing the math on the whole thing. So Cunningham was right, and that I think that appearance, he also told Florida State to shut up and be a good partner. I don't think Bubba wanted to explore. I mean, I think you have to. You have to look at what's going to happen. Do you think that there is behind the scenes, and this is probably a stupid question to be honest, that they wanted the ACC to disintegrate, that John Pryor and others like that wanted the ACC to fall apart so they could go?
I don't know that I would say that, but certainly I think you can tell from the nature of the email that Pryor was frustrated with basically where the ACC was and the position more so that it has put North Carolina in.
Right.
But, I think Bubba Cunningham has made some really good points publicly, both in the last year and really sort of throughout this entire recent wave of realignment that, hey, look, just because you have the most money doesn't directly correlate to winning. And, people seem to forget that simple fact. I mean, and North Carolina especially, maybe more than any other high major athletic department in the country, has traditionally and historically done more with less. North Carolina, especially before hiring Bill Belichick, never invested the most. Even when we're talking about spending in men's basketball, which is the flagship program at the university, they're not in the top 5. They are not dominating in terms of expenditures for men's basketball. The Smith Center still needs to be renovated. And yet North Carolina has 6 national championships and has been one of the most successful programs in the entire sport. So, again, money does not directly correlate to success. I think certainly Bubba has a better view of that than maybe someone like Pryor, who is more focused in the monetary figures and doesn't know everything that's going on within the inner workings of the athletic department. But no, certainly I think that he was frustrated. That comes through in the email. Again, the idea that the ACC is no longer serving us. Now, if that was a statement coming from Bubba Cunningham, it would have been national news. The fact that it's coming from, trying to think of the most diplomatic way to say this.
Well, I'll say it.
Coming from a trustee who has certainly perhaps overextended his authority. You mentioned the Board of Trustees does not have authority. No. It took the president of the UNC system to spell that again for John Pryor verbatim.
He got sued, right? Didn't they get sued?
Yeah, I mean there have been multiple instances. They settled for violating basically going into closed session when they weren't allowed to discuss budgetary measures. There's actually another potential pending suit against the board for the way they handled the Bill Belichick situation, going into closed suit and being willing to make this monetary investment without making it public. So, yes, again, the Board of Trustees at North Carolina has certainly been in the news far more than you traditionally like the board of the university to be.
All right, final thing, and we're actually going to go to your day job, actual basketball. You said on this program probably 2 months ago that North Carolina would have to go 15-5 in the ACC to get an NCAA tournament bid. That bus has left. Do you see a path forward for them that does not involve winning the ACC tournament and making the NCAA tournament?
I think if North Carolina, so North Carolina has got 7 more regular season games.
Right.
The only one of consequence in that schedule, actually the only one that's inside of the top 75 nationally, is the regular season rematch and finale against Duke. Again, you've got a lot of slop on that schedule. Otherwise, obviously, that starts going to Syracuse on Saturday, NC State, Virginia, Miami, one of the worst high major programs in the entire country, Virginia Tech. If North Carolina wins all of those games and beats Duke, it now suddenly has a second quad 1 win. There's only been one team that's gotten into the NCAA tournament since the net rankings were introduced that had one quad 1 win. Having a second one, winning out the rest of the season, maybe winning a game or 2 in the ACC tournament. If you squint, you can make that argument. However, what's the confidence that anybody has in that being possible? I mean, for me, it's a 0 right now.
Yeah.
I don't see a way that North Carolina runs the rest of the regular season. Obviously, I don't see a way that they beat Duke in the regular season finale, given the way that the first matchup went. To me, it is not guaranteed, obviously, because anything can happen. I mean, look at 2022.
Sure.
I find it very hard to believe that North Carolina is going to make the NCAA tournament. And I think North Carolina fans are finally starting to reckon with the reality that for the second time in 3 years, they're going to have a preseason top 10 team miss the field entirely.
I think that speaks more to the preseason rankings than it does, because once I watched them play, I went, I don't see anything up front. And that was always going to be a problem for them. But at least R.J. Davis is starting to shoot the ball well again.
He is. But, I don't know, and this is me editorializing here a little bit. When you watch North Carolina the last week, the Duke game, the Pittsburgh loss, the Clemson loss especially, it looks like a team whose spirit has been broken.
Yep.
And, I don't say that like gleefully in any way, but I think the fact that you've had so many almost comebacks that have fallen short, you've had so many one-possession games where against good teams where things haven't gone your way. I mean, think about all the winnable games North Carolina had in the non-conference that would have completely changed what its resume looks like and its potential to get in the tournament. I mean, you complete that comeback against Kansas in the second game of the season, we're talking about a whole different picture right now.
They had the lead.
You hang on against Michigan State in overtime in Maui. Again, same thing. You beat Florida and Charlotte. They're leading in the final 4 minutes of that game.
Yep.
All of those are those missed opportunities, and recently it has turned from almost comebacks to letting some of those close ones get away, and now we have finally reached, what looks like it's close to the bottom out of the whole process, which is just getting blown out. And, the spirit of these guys, it looks like the weight of all of those losses has finally caught up to them. And, that Clemson game was a hard watch. I mean, that was not a team that looked like it enjoyed playing with each other.
No.
It was not a team that looked like it enjoyed playing at all. Ian Jackson has obviously regressed majorly. He was a 20-point constant. Now he's, barely getting in the game. There's a lot of things that have gone wrong for this team, and it feels like, at least watching them, some of those things have finally caught up.
Brendan Marks at Brendan R. Marks. No, yeah, Brendan R. Marks on Twitter. We missed the N, by the way, Victoria, on the Twitter thing there. I was like, wait a second. Brendan R. Marks on Twitter. Thank you very much, sir. We didn't even talk about the Cooper Flagg piece because there's too much stuff going on. I haven't gotten to it yet. But we will talk about Cooper Flagg down the road. I appreciate your time always.
I've heard of that guy once or twice before. I'm sure we'll be talking about him the next month of the season.
You got it. Take care, man.
Thanks.
All right. We should have next time he comes on, we'll play Piano Man.
Oh, I know. I will. You know what?
And maybe we'll get him to sing.
I may just play Billy Joel bump songs whenever he comes on because I do that, like our friend B. Geis.
It's true.
I always
there you
play
go.
Outcast.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. I always play Outcast.
All these things that I don't pick out on during the show. All right, when we come back, one-timers next.
Talking sports so you don't have to pretend to know stuff. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
The North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services is looking for people age 21 or older to volunteer in long-term care facilities. Community Advisory Committee volunteers help residents and their families advocate for the needs of individuals living in long-term care facilities, such as nursing homes, assisted living facilities, and family care homes. Volunteers must complete orientation and training to become designated and certified representatives of the Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program. Visit ncdhhs.gov/aging to find your county's Ombudsman.
Electricity. It's what powers our lives, from the ordinary to the extraordinary. In North Carolina, 26 local electric cooperatives provide energy to 2.8 million people across the state. But we're providing so much more than affordable, reliable power. We're helping to strengthen the people and communities that make our state great, today and for generations to come. North Carolina's electric cooperatives. Power you can count on, now and always. Learn more at ncelectriccooperatives.com.
A crisis moment is any moment where you feel overwhelmed and as if you aren't able alone to handle what's happening. You don't have to be alone with that feeling. And when that feeling comes is exactly when you should reach out, you should get connected, and you should be in community. We care, we listen, we help. Call, text, or chat 988 anytime.
Call, text, or chat 988 24/7. Brought to you by the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services.
Hey, it's Adam Gold, and my friends at FanDuel are here to remind you that we are almost in March. That's college basketball's month, and right now, new customers on FanDuel can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $150 extra bucks, somebody else's money, to bet on everything from conference titles to tournament upsets, even who's going to be cutting down the big nets. FanDuel.com/AGS. FanDuel.com/AGS. Get in on the college hoops action before March takes over. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
If you need health coverage due to a life change, healthcare.gov is here for you. Like it was there for Terrence and Jody when they got married. And Sophia when she had a baby. And Gary when he moved and needed new insurance. There are many other ways to qualify. Visit healthcare.gov today to see if you're eligible to enroll. Limited time to enroll. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Did you know that since you have public power, your electricity is operated and controlled by people in your community, not by a for-profit, investor-owned company? These local folks are directly accountable to you. They don't answer to shareholders. They make decisions for the good of your community. What's more, your public power provider invests in your community, providing jobs and supporting your local economy. Local people working together to meet local needs. That's public power. Learn more at electricities.com.
It's that time of year when we gear up to cheer on our favorite team. Don't let COVID-19 and the flu stop you. So make sure you don't have to cancel on the team you love the most by getting your flu and COVID vaccines. They are safe and effective. Both flu and COVID vaccines have been updated to fight against new virus strains spreading this fall and winter. So make sure you don't miss the big game and you protect those around you. Ask your healthcare provider about updated flu and COVID-19 shots.
Visit myspot.nc.gov and find yours today.
One Adam Gold. One Adam Gold.
So I was reading an article about the 10 oddest Guinness World Records, and the thing that caught my eye was most skips by a cat in 1 minute. This woman has a jump rope and is skipping with her cat. Okay, I have got a cat, and let me just tell you, the skipping alone would cause this, but swinging a jump rope anywhere near my sweet kitty Carol, she'd be gone for like 5 days.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria's here. You mentioned Outkast before.
I did.
Okay, so let me just bring this to you real quick. Outkast is on the current Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ballot.
Oh, nice.
The ballot came out today. Bad Company, The Black Crowes, Mariah Carey, Chubby Checker, Joe Cocker, Billy Idol, New Order, Cyndi Lauper, Manya, don't know what that is, or Mana, Oasis, Outkast, Fish, Soundgarden, the White Stripes.
Oh, wow.
That's your ballot.
Yeah.
That's your ballot. I've had many conversations about that already today.
Some good picks.
Yes. Still mad that Frank Sinatra's not on it, but we're working on it.
Oh, yeah, Blue Eyes. I feel like we talked about Blue Eyes last year,
We did. Rick French, that's where I got this from. Rick
Yeah.
French came on. He's on the board of directors of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And, so my guess is that there'll be 6 inductees.
Yeah.
Bad Company, Black Crowes, Mariah Carey, Chubby Checker, Joe Cocker, and Outkast.
Oh, those are your picks?
Those are my picks.
Okay. I'll have to
Those
look
are my
at it and
picks.
make my picks. I feel like Outkast should be there.
There you go.
And Cyndi Lauper.
Girls just want to have fun.
Exactly.
Girls just want to do one-timers. What?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully Bill Belichick isn't just doing a one-timer with UNC, because that's my first question. Do you think it's promising that Bill Belichick is bringing his whole crew, his friends, family, dog, everything along with him to UNC, that he might be here longer than a year?
I don't think he can accomplish what he wants to accomplish in 1 year. I don't think he's ever going back to the National Football League. I don't. I think there's one place he could go. I think he could go to Dallas. And that's only if Jerry Jones will let him do him. But I think he's going to stay at Carolina. I think he'll be here 3 years. And then that'll be it.
All right. Well, I know a lot of people are hoping for that. So, the NFL is going to, has been making a lot of changes. We've got new coaches everywhere. So, which team that just picked up a new head coach this season do you think might be most successful in this next season?
All right, so
we've got the Cowboys, Raiders, Jaguars, Jets, Patriots, Bears.
The Bears are set up because they have a quarterback, I think. This answer will surprise you. Because I think success is relative here. I think the best coach in that group is going to be Aaron Glenn. Unfortunately, he's with the Jets. But I think that Aaron Glenn will change the culture of New York Jets football. I just don't know if we'll see that really manifest itself in a ton of wins, but I think they'll be on the right road. That's just a guess. I love Aaron Glenn. Sorry, he's a Jet.
Chapel Hill to Charlotte, Greenville to Greensboro. Your sports, his state. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friend Gordon Miller, Miller Lending, Kildare Farm Road in Cary. And for the last few days, I've been talking about this sweatshirt I got from Gordon from Miller Lending. And it says home of the no closing cost mortgage. That's true, but it doesn't have the word original in it. This is Gordon being humble. It's like he doesn't want everybody to know that he invented the no closing cost option. This is what I've been talking about for more than 25 years. Somebody had to come up with it. I know the guy who invented the crazy straw. That was incredible, by the way. And this is even better because this no closing cost mortgage will actually save you thousands of dollars. The crazy straw just makes you laugh. That's not to be underrated, by the way. It's always good to laugh. Like you can laugh at your neighbors who are paying thousands of dollars in closing costs while you are not. MillerLending.com, home of the original no closing cost mortgage. I have used them 11 times. Saved a lot of money. Miller Lending on Kildare Farm Road in Cary, an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 2502146.
Mitchell Heating and Cooling. We do the job right every time.
Mitchell Heating and Cooling is celebrating 51 years of trusted service. And to celebrate, get a furnace tune-up for just $51. That's peace of mind heating for only $51. Visit MitchellHVAC.com. Mitchell Heating and Cooling, quality products and services on time from a family you trust. It's hard to stop a train.
The best solutions every time.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
It's bow time.
A leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99?
Leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99?
So crispy.
So crispy.
And juicy.
And juicy.
So much flavor.
So much.
Stop it. What are you doing?
What, you expect me to get this delicious deal and not say anything?
You're unbelievable.
You're unbelievable.
With a boldly seasoned leg and thigh, choice of fixin', a biscuit, and legendary iced tea, it's a deal so good it's worth repeating. So eat and repeat while it lasts. It's bow time.
It's bow time. Dine in, drive through, or tap your favorite delivery app and have Bojangles come to you. Satisfy your craving for flavor right now with Bojangles 2-piece dinner. 2 pieces of Bojangles dark meat chicken, your choice of fixin', a biscuit, and iced tea for just $5.99. That's right, just $5.99 for limited time at participating Bojangles. What are you waiting for? When you're hungry, it's always bow time.
Zero Res wants to give your home the love and attention it deserves. This month, get 3 rooms of carpets clean, starting at $109, and take $100 off your air duct cleaning. Book online anytime at ZeroResRaleigh.com.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time and skip the regular line at the airport and pay for speedy security. Imagine not having to quickly unpack and pack at the place you already came packed to. And wearing your shoes the whole time you're there? You can't put a price on that kind of luxury. Well, actually you can, and you paid for it. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time for speedy security. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
They score! WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on the radio, Instagram, TikTok, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
You're listening to The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
So as long as we've got all of these things that exist well outside of the idea of developing and preparing a roster to go out and play on at least 12 Saturdays in the fall, then yeah, I do think it is necessary to have someone else whose responsibility it is to manage all of that and be a conduit to the coach and the coaching staff to be able to provide the resources, but also, take some of that off of their plate.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria is producing the program. Slight adjustment in schedule today to accommodate Clinton Yates from ESPN, who will join us at the bottom of the hour. Chip Patterson, who will get the added benefit of having more time to prepare himself for Champions League football, which will, or soccer, if you will, which will come up at 3 o'clock, although there is a match that is already underway. I do not know what is going on in the first match of the day. 4 matches today. There were 4 matches yesterday. I want to bet on one of them. I'm very excited. I might place a bet on the 3 o'clock games. I don't know. Chip Patterson, Cover 3 Podcast, CBSSports.com. How are you, sir?
I'm well. Club Bruges just found the back of the net to take an early 1-0 lead over Atalanta. Of course, as a Serie A diehard, just like the SEC chants from them, I go, Serie A, Serie A. You're heartbroken here. But Atalanta is a high-scoring team. I think they can storm back. I think they will. Actually, I was thinking about a draw in that match because I believe Atalanta will find their way through. But either way, I'm too late. I'm too late for that. All right, let's. I want to dig into Michael Lombardi a little bit because now for people who don't know, he's Carolina's football general manager. Has a history of working with Bill Belichick and has basically spent his entire career in the National Football League. And he said a couple of things about, we're going to do this. We're going to be this type of a program. I don't know how much of the Lombardi fireside chat you caught yesterday. I did not. We was coincided with me prepping for this. But he basically said we're going to be the 33rd team of the National Football League. How much of the bluster, I'll just use that term. I don't mean it in a negative way, but to talk about we're going to be a pro program, blah, blah. How much of that stuff do you buy into? I buy into the pitch. I buy into the way that they sold it to the university. I buy into the way that they're selling it on the recruiting trail. I don't buy into it when I'm setting my expectations for the 2025 college football season. Right. And that's sort of where this normally leads to a fork in the road. That, the pitch, hey, we've got the best coach who's ever coached football. We've got a tremendous university. And when I'm able to carry those things into a potential recruit, those things carry a lot of weight. That is true. But that does not change the immediate outlook for North Carolina football. And so that's why you've got 2 trains that are going on different tracks. And the question is, will the success or lack thereof, what happens in 2025 in the immediate future, how does that impact what you're trying to build for 2026 and beyond? Because, there were skeptics about whether Bill Belichick was even going to make it to the sidelines for the 2025 opener. Yeah. I believe he is. Let me go ahead and say that. I believe. But you and I have talked about it. I've always believed that he was. There has never been a moment, and I mean this seriously, there was never a moment that I thought, once we had that press conference, he was going to be on the sidelines when they played TCU. I always thought that. I never bought all of the other stuff, ever. Will he be gone after 1 year? Will he be gone after 2 years?
Are we just going to, like, what happens if he does leave? Does the staff stay together? Like, is there a Steve Belichick future? Like, all of those things are all after this year.
Yeah.
So when Michael Lombardi is making the same pitch to the media that he is making to parents and that he is making to prospective players, that's great. That is a sensible sales pitch. But whether or not it lands, whether there is stickiness to that sales pitch, a lot's going to depend on what happens on the field in 2025. And I'm not projecting anything that is wildly out of the realm of possibility based on where North Carolina football has been in the positive or negative. But I do think that there's still a lot of work left to be done for the 2025 roster. And I'm not sure if all the 33rd team talk is going to line up with actually being the 33rd team, unless you are number 33 of 33 teams in the NFL. So it's, the roster still has some work to do in the spring portal. There's player development that needs to be done. It's a team that, based on what I look at right now, can be a bowl team. It is not a team that can contend for the ACC championship. And as I've said to you before, if you're paying a coach $10 million a year in a winnable ACC, the expectation is that he has them competing for an ACC championship. If he does, then hey, the sales pitch has worked. You did it. Best coach in football, coached him up and got him into that conversation. If he doesn't, well then, what has the sales pitch worked on the 2026 class? What's your transfer portal activity the next season? And those two things, again, two trains, separate tracks. What happens in 2025? What happens beyond? When I listen to North Carolina football talk about selling North Carolina football, it sounds great. But based on the roster that is currently listed on the website, it is not in line with winning the ACC in the 2025.
All right. Chip Patterson is here, as he is every Wednesday. We're a little earlier today. Clinton Yates will come at the bottom of the hour. So there's a ton of things that I want to get to just from that, because I said a few minutes ago that I think this will be a 3-year project for Bill Belichick. It's unreal. That would be. We'll find out. Actually, we'll probably know by year 2 whether or not this is a viable plan. I don't think you're going to have any clue in year 1. The only thing I will say that could come out of year 1 is that if it's close, Carolina will win because of the guy on the sideline. Because to me, that is the difference. That's where Belichick can help you in the margins of games, because we have for years, and this is no disrespect to Mac Brown or Dave Doran or a lot of coaches, there are only a handful of coaches, I believe, in college football that almost always max out on the wins and losses. Only a handful. Almost every one of them loses a game he shouldn't lose. Almost every, even the good ones. There's one of, Mac Brown's going to go in the Hall of Fame. I mean, he's lost tons of games that he probably should have won. For me, that's where Belichick can get over on other coaches, but it would mask the real issues of the roster, of the pipeline. And I talked about this last hour. I just want your thoughts on this. The difference between the ACC and the SEC, between the top of the Big Ten and the ACC, between the top of the Big Ten and the bottom of the Big Ten, is all the line of scrimmage. Everybody's got wide receivers. Everybody's got quarterbacks. Everybody's got running backs. Everybody's got defensive backs. There's a DB at ECU, could be a first-round pick. We got a running back from Boise State, it's going to be a first-round pick. But for the most part, if you look at where the players are coming from in the top, really 2 rounds of the draft, on the offensive line, on the defensive line, they're all in a handful of spots. They're in the SEC, the top of the Big Ten, Notre Dame. To me, that's where is Bill Belichick going to make an impact on that part of Carolina's roster, because they can't be great unless they improve that.
I mean, God only made but so many 6'5", 330 players. There's there's a little bit of there's a little bit of the just looking at it and thinking that this isn't, it's not necessarily going to be a spot where they're going to be able to dominate. I know that I went through and I was actually identifying, based on some of their transfer portal additions, the defense is almost going to be entirely new.
Right.
And they've got some players. And, they've got some players that know exactly what they're doing. You got 3 players from Minnesota, 5 players from Washington. I mean, you are going to get some quality athletes and you're bringing them in, but you've got to get them on the same page and you've got to get them ready to go. I will say this. In the ACC, because you are right when you talk about the difference between the Big Ten, top of the Big Ten, the SEC, the ACC, the lines of scrimmage are huge. I do think that in the ACC, if we're to just totally close off the vacuum and only look at the conference,
right,
being good at the line of scrimmage might not be enough. The Pitt Panthers are good at the lines of scrimmage almost every single season.
Right.
But when they have horrendous quarterbacking, they might lose 6 games after starting 7-0.
Right. You can't be bad at quarterback.
Right. But there are other teams within there are teams in the ACC that have contended for ACC titles without elite play at the lines of scrimmage while also being good enough elsewhere.
Right.
That is where having an imperfect roster across the entirety of an ACC schedule does not prevent you necessarily from being able to compete. And so what can you maximize out of a quarterback room that is Max Johnson and Ryan Brown? What can you maximize out of some of those skill position players that went into the transfer portal but pulled their way out because they want to come back and they want to be a part of the Bill Belichick era? And what can you maximize from a defense that, while it does not have just 8 bodies ready to come off the sidelines, just one after the other, rotating in and out the way that some of those top teams do in the Big Ten and the SEC, it does have a couple of edge rushers that I like. It's got some skilled linebackers. It's got some real difference makers. And so, again, that is not going to make you the 33rd team when you're comparing yourself to the NFL. But I do think that North Carolina can be the 3rd team in the ACC, even without having to have a multi-year build to be able to get there.
Yeah, and again, I think that because Bill is great at coaching, that it gives them a chance to win the games on the margins, to not lose games. They got the most out of basically every season under Bill Belichick in the NFL until the talent completely fell off the board. Until they were absolutely bereft of talent. They got the most out of basically every season, and that's against pros. Here against, I think they'll win. They'll win enough in year 1 to keep everybody excited about year 2. That's why I say in year 2, we'll get, I think, better players, which should lead maybe to a greater finish. All right, I want to get to a couple of other things before I let you go.
Oh, can I throw one more note on this? At the hire, there was a lot of ties to Deion Sanders at Colorado. It didn't always work. It was a little bit messy, but I will tie back in this way. No one believed that Deion Sanders would be heading into year 3 at Colorado.
That is true. And
he is, right?
Right.
And in year 2, he had them tied for first place in the Big 12 standings at the end of the regular season.
Yep.
So he went from 4-8 to it was 7-2, 9-4, I guess, or 9-3 by the end of the season. Maybe they finished 10-3 overall, but
right.
I think that it is important that when we talk about what the future looks like, what the outlook is like, a lot of that could change by the time we actually get out there and start playing games.
Let me ask you about Ohio State, who lost both their offensive and defensive coordinators. Chip Kelly took, I believe, $17 billion to go back to the NFL and be a coordinator. And who is it? Kurt Roper? Is that? Did I get that? No.
Jim Knowles, the other
former Duke assistant, goes to Penn State to be the defensive coordinator. Are those big losses for Ohio State?
Yes, they are. They are significant. They are not unforeseen, because when Ryan Day hired Chip Kelly, I think that there was always the belief that Chip Kelly wants to get back to the NFL, because before he took the Ohio State job, you will remember that position was actually occupied by Bill O'Brien.
Right.
And then Bill O'Brien left to go back to the NFL. Chip Kelly gets hired away from UCLA, but even when Chip Kelly was the sitting head coach at UCLA, the word was out that he would leave to go be an NFL offensive coordinator. So he took the next best thing, Ohio State offensive coordinator.
Right, exactly.
And then the Jim Knowles was a poaching. I mean, just call it what it is. Penn State Penn State goes, they lose their defensive coordinator to Clemson. They go and they get Jim Knowles. And what we have seen since then is a little bit of our old friend Bomani Jones. Do you remember the Homeboy Hall of Fame?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so everybody at Ohio State's getting internal promotions and raises. It's amazing. I mean, it's like Ryan Day gets a new 7-year deal, $12.5 million a year.
$12.5 million. That's
Brian
amazing.
Hartline's promoted to co-offensive coordinator and also another co-offensive coordinator. And we might bring in another co-offensive coordinator. Matt Patricia might come in as the defensive coordinator. Larry Johnson's still the defensive line coach. Who gets a raise? Who gets a say? Who's calling plays? Who knows? Everybody's getting paid, baby. They went down that road in Columbus on that title parade, and they handed Ryan Day the money gun, and he just looked up to all of his coaching friends and went, and that's exactly what we have going on at Ohio State, because you know what? It's Ohio daggum State.
Yep.
They are still going to be great. Are they going to be at the very, very, very top of the sport no matter who's coaching? No, they do need Chip Kelly, Jim Knowles, to be able to really take you over the top. But we're talking about 3 games a year. Ohio State rolls out of bed with you and me as coordinators. Yeah. They win 8-9 games a year. Obviously, the Michigan one is the one we're really concerned about. But that is one of those games. And so that's what I'm looking at right now, because they're losing a lot of players off the national championship team. They are losing both of their coordinators. It's significant. So
I've said this before. I've said this before about Ohio State. It's really the only program that has essentially been mistake-proof at head coach. You go back and you look, every single coach. I mean, sometimes they have failed to beat, Michigan.
Right.
John Cooper failed to beat Michigan.
But John Cooper was a stellar head coach.
Great head coach. And he did. Toward the end, he didn't win a ton. There were some 8 wins, I think, at the end of John Cooper. But for the most part, they were 10-win seasons. All of them. Every one of their coaches has been successful on the whole. They really do. If you don't beat Michigan, you're probably not there for very long. It will wear. So I just wonder if Ryan Day goes 2 more years without beating the Wolverines. What happens there? We'll see. Let me ask you one more thing. Tom Fornelli wrote about it, and this is sort of a big picture thing. This doesn't have to necessarily be about football. I've thought about this more in a context of UNC basketball. Fornelli wrote, "National Signing Day is dead," which, look, Tom is great. I do think the second one kind of is, because the first one was we just had it. And the portal's been open. There was very little fanfare around this signing day, which used to be a celebration, right? It used to be this was our national signing day, and everybody was excited. We had whirring fax machines everywhere. But the emphasis on the portal, has that hurt high school recruiting? Because I think it has, specific to North Carolina basketball. Their freshman recruiting just hasn't been great for almost 10 years.
Can I stay in college football with this one?
You can.
Because I do think National Signing Day is dead also has to do with the fact that top recruits aren't waiting until National Signing Day to have a big hat ceremony. And the reason that they're doing it is because they're NCAA doesn't allow inducements. Yeah. But they are agreeing to deals that are more binding than any bagman was able to deliver. And that those last minute conversations with the uncle on February 2nd that would go deep into the night, and the days of these SEC coordinators boxing each other out. I'm going to stay in this living room till 11:59 just to make sure that it turns to midnight and the 2 guys in the driveway don't get in here. Those wars that used to be fought leading up to National Signing Day that would lead to these poor 17-year-olds drenched in sweat. Their parents want them to go one place. Their uncle wants them to go somewhere else. Their high school coach might have a third school, and then they play this game with puppies and hats and all kinds of pump fakes. Like, that is all gone.
Yeah.
Because it's all been put, again, NCAA says no inducements, but it's been put in black and white. It has been put in a contract. It has been put in, this is what is going to be delivered. This is what your experience is going to be. This is the NIL payment. This is how everything is going to be set up, the way you will be compensated for bringing your talents to my school. And these top high school prospects are getting that locked up 2 months before even the winter National Signing Day hits. Bryce Underwood, the number one player in the class, the quarterback who is drawing legitimate comparisons to Cam Newton, who was with LSU forever, then flipped to Michigan because of legitimately Oracle money. Not like I see the future Oracle, but like the multi-billion-dollar company Oracle, because Oracle helped Michigan buy Bryce Underwood, but even that was announced a month before the early signing day.
Right.
And so National Signing Day is dead. High school recruiting is not. The pomp and circumstance of National Signing Day, the dramatics of National Signing Day have been killed by NIL because there is not negotiation deep into the night. There is very clear positional value, salary cap-like decisions that have been made well before that Wednesday in December or that Wednesday in February.
I just appreciate that you brought puppies into this. And
Isaiah Crowell, former Georgia running back Isaiah Crowell, had a little bulldog puppy that he held up, and what I think was one of my first National Signing Days as a CBS Sports employee. I mean, Adam, I used to wake up at 6 a.m. preparing for a 12-hour workday.
I know.
Of like, I'm going to be on this live stream of a local news outlet in Omaha to see if this guy goes to Nebraska or Iowa. And you know what? They all look alike.
They do.
Okay? They're all 6'3", they're all 315, they're all corn-fed boys, and they're all going to the Big Ten, but we got to figure out which way he's going.
You're the best. Chip Patterson, CBSSports.com, Cover 3 podcast, Chip_Patterson on Twitter. He brought puppies into it, and I appreciate that. Talk to you next week, my friend.
Sounds good. Y'all be well.
That is just the best. All right. Clinton Yates will join us when we come back. Before we get to Clinton Yates, I will mention not puppies, but dogs. Next.
From the heels,
touchdown, Carolina,
to the canes.
She scores!
He covers it all. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
If Super Bowl 59 shows us anything, it shows that defense wins championships. That tried and true saying, defense wins championships. And if you're the Carolina Panthers, this is something you have to devote this offseason to fixing. Draft picks, free agency. You have to strengthen up that side of the football. You have to be great on defense in order to win.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
Injured in a motorcycle accident? Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS before you call your insurance company. The insurance company wants to pay you the least amount possible. Law Tigers are riders too, so we understand what your bike and gear are worth and what you're going through after an accident. Your case evaluation is always free, and we don't get paid until your case settles. Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS, North Carolina's motorcycle lawyers. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
Time to get ready for golf season, and Global Golf is ready for you. Global Golf is home to Carolina's largest selection of pre-owned golf clubs and can help every part of your game, from lessons, club fittings, and repairs. Don't forget, we take trade-ins. Bring in your current clubs and get store credit towards your new clubs. You're invited to Global Golf, open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at 7320 ACC Boulevard, North Raleigh.
Hey guys, Valentine's Day is right around the corner, and Cupid's arrow is pointing straight to Bailey's. We're here to help and make it easy for you to find the perfect gift for the one you love. Bailey's has something for everyone and every budget. We have a huge selection of jewelry and gifts for under $500, from David Yurman, Apolita, Mickey Moto, Lagos, and more. And if you're looking for something extra special, we also have an amazing selection of diamond jewelry. Shop in-store or online at baileybox.com. Give her a gift that's better than chocolate or roses with the easiest and can't-miss way to make her Valentine's Day extra special with a little black and white striped box from Bailey's Fine Jewelry. Located in Raleigh's Village District and Crabtree Valley Mall, also in Cary's Fenton, Rocky Mount, and Greenville. Just a little reminder from me, Marcy Bailey. Every woman wants a Bailey box.
If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has plans built just for you. 2 lines of unlimited for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings compared to Verizon and AT&T. But don't just take our word for it.
It's not just the savings that are great with our T-Mobile plan. There's all this value from all these other things that T-Mobile offers.
T-Mobile has been such a savings for us.
We love it.
Switch today and get 2 free 5G phones like the Motorola Edge with Turbo Power charging that gives you power for the day in just 15 minutes. And customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for only $30 a line. Go to T-Mobile.com/choice55 to learn more. With AutoPay plus taxes and fees, plus $5 per line without AutoPay. Debit or bank account required. 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. Motorola Edge on us with 24 monthly bill credits and new line for well-qualified customers, plus tax and $35 per line connection charge. See details at T-Mobile.com. Motorola Edge requires 68-watt charger. Charger sold separately. Actual performance will vary based on usage and configuration.
Jackson Hewitt makes taxes feel like a yacht rock song.
April breeze, give me my biggest tax refund, please. You, me, and a lifetime accuracy guarantee.
And now get $100 just to try Jackson Hewitt. Does your tax person do that?
Say goodbye to that no guarantee tax guy.
Ready to sail through tax season? Go to Jackson Hewitt and you'll be limited time offer for new clients. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com.
Jumpstart your retirement savings at WeSaySaveIt.org. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
One Adam. Gold. One Adam. Gold.
Some of the best trades ever made are the ones you don't make. Again, I'm sure that there are tons of stories like that.
Kind of like a relationship. Sometimes the best ones are the ones that you didn't go out with. Like that person that you tried to, and then you see them 10 years later, and you're like, ooh, dodged a bullet.
So you sound like you've been there.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. Clinton Yates in just a few minutes. He's got a new radio show on ESPN. And we'll talk to him about what interests him, what's popping right now for him. We'll talk about a little bit of a what's ever coming out of the Super Bowl or in the NBA. I know he's a big baseball fan, too. Maybe we'll get into the Aaron Boone, we'll have more class than the Dodgers did when we win this World Series.
Maybe he's a Cubs fan or a Mets fan.
I think he's a Nationals fan.
Oh.
He's a D.C. area guy.
Oh, that would make sense, yes.
So last night, for the first time, I believe, in 5 years, the Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show, the Super Bowl of dog shows.
Love it.
Was at Madison Square Garden. It was not there during the pandemic. They did it outside, I believe, in southeastern Pennsylvania, in the Brandywine area. And they had stayed away from Madison Square Garden for a few years. I don't know anything about breeding. Nothing, zero. I just love dogs. And I love watching the dog show. I didn't realize it was the week or a few days after the Super Bowl. So I caught a little bit of it Monday night. I watched, was it the Herding Group Monday night? And I caught I caught the last two groups Monday night and the last group last night, and I watched Best in Show. And I think that last night was a win for all of us. It was a win for all of us in this regard. While there were a lot of little dogs always win.
I know.
Westies, Scotties, Bichon Frises.
Yorkies,
they
whatevers.
just always seem to win.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not anti-little dog. If Harriet was just a little bit, less plump, she'd be a little dog. She's a corgi.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Oh, yeah. Everybody loves corgi butt.
Oh, corgis great. Corgis are great dogs. I mean, she bullies her way into Earl's food. Earl's a Weimaraner, bigger dog, right? Athlete, all of that. I want more of those dogs to win. Last night, the giant schnauzer was best in show. Giant schnauzer, awesome. Like, meaty dog. I'm a fan of that. German Shepherd was also part of the mix, but did not feature as one of the top, I think, 2, because they choose a best in show and then, like, backup best in show, I guess, just in case one of them tests positive for something. I don't get it. Why do we need a reserve best in show? First place, second place, blue ribbon, and whatever other color ribbon you've got. Actually, it's a purple and gold ribbon. But the Whippet was the runner-up, was the reserve best in show. And again, a win for us big dog people. I have nothing against small dogs. Nothing at all against them. They're adorable and they're feisty. But I'm a big dog person. You know, the golden retriever, I'm pretty sure this is correct. The golden retriever, America's dog, has never won. Come on. Got to get Goldens in there. Anyway, I was excited to see a big dog win. I did not think. I actually thought the Skye Terrier was going to win. Lovely coiffed dew on the Skye Terrier, and I thought the Bichon Frise, which frankly was pretty cool. I thought that would come second, but I was wrong, and I was happy to be wrong. I am sure that Clinton Yates on Clinton and Friends today on ESPN Radio, day 2 of that radio show. I'm sure they didn't talk a lot about the Westminster Dog Show, right?
We did not, but I do have a question.
Sure.
How does one exactly make a grand schnauzer? Do I have that right?
No, it was a giant. It was a giant schnauzer.
Giant schnauzer, excuse me. How do you create one of those? That feels weird.
It did. There's a mutant. I don't know. Steroids. See, this is the other thing that I'm fascinated by. It's not a runner-up. They choose a reserve best in show. What happened? Did the first dog test positive? What happened?
You know what I'm saying? So for PEDs, perhaps, in the DOG community, that's a very interesting thing.
So
you never know.
You guys can explore that on the show. First of all, thank you very much for doing this. Obviously, it's great to do day 1 coming out of the Super Bowl. There was a story last night that I saw from Mike Florio on ProFootballTalk.com doing it like a deep dive investigation into the voting for Super Bowl MVP. And I put this on Twitter, and I was just baffled by why he was doing a deep dive investigation as to how Jalen Hurts could be named the MVP when clearly the separator in the game was the defensive line for the Eagles, and I get that. But he suggested that we wait like 2 days before we vote for the Super Bowl MVP. But I couldn't figure out why this was even a big deal.
Well, I think it's a big deal because a lot of people get really caught up in a lot of awards. I'm not that kind of a sports fan. I mean, I think this falls in line with things like Halls of Fame and various things like that. And when you find out that, for example, even in the NFL's regular season alone, that a guy like Josh Allen wins the MVP.
Been waiting 2 days to name the Super Bowl MVP? I just didn't understand. I didn't understand that.
No, that is bizarre behavior, and that would not be how I would do it if I had to change anything.
Clinton Yates is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show at Clinton Yates on Twitter. I knew you were a baseball guy, so we will get to baseball in a moment. Obviously Super Bowl day 1, What has been something that you have gravitated towards over the last couple of days? Luka and the Lakers is obvious, or is it the protest inside of the Mavericks arena where they're kicking fans out because they're mad that they traded the franchise?
Dude, it's honestly been a lot of both. Obviously, I'm based in Los Angeles. Big shout out to ESPN 710, our home station there. But the Luka trade, I mean, it has really turned people on. It has really turned people on their sides because folks are excited. As you know, the Lakers are big on stars, and star power is major out here. And so getting Luka wasn't just a basketball thing. It was as much a personality thing as anything. And you saw that first night. I mean, they had the T-shirts out there. Adele was at the game. LeBron James, even in introductions, allowed Luka to go last so that he could get the big cheer. And so, listen, it's important for a couple of different reasons. Again, there's the basketball element, but also Luka Doncic is not signed long-term with that team. He's got this year and next year on his deal. And while it's unlikely that he doesn't re-sign, it is entirely within play that for whatever reason, if it just doesn't work out, he says, you know what? I didn't pick coming here anyway, and this is all nice and good, but I want a fresh start to a place of my own choosing, and he'll be a free agent. It's not as if this is a foregone conclusion that the Lakers are going to be able to pick him up. Do I think the chances are great to very great? Yes. But this franchise has to be on their best behavior to make sure that they put together a team that makes sure that he can win, because he already dragged one team to the finals on his own.
Yes.
That would be the team he was on previously, the Mavericks. So that's a big part of it. But I got to tell you, this situation with the Mavericks is unbelievable. It's almost like they had no idea that people were going to have a problem with this. You're throwing people out of games for having a sign that says fire the GM. Like, you got to wear this one, man. You're the ones who made this decision. It's impossible for me to understand why they weren't more prepared for this and why they won't let their own fans voice their opinions. I mean, that's kind of the whole point here. I get it. You don't want a situation in which everybody is bad-mouthing you, but maybe you shouldn't have traded Luka Doncic if you didn't want people to do that. You know what I mean? So it feels a little craven to me, and by a little, I mean a lot. And I just don't love this from the Mavs. If I was a fan in Dallas, I'd be super angry that on top of the fact that they dealt a generational star, they're acting as if everybody's supposed to just walk around as if it didn't happen. It's unreal.
Yeah, and the truth is, for the Mavericks, as long as this team wins and advances deep into the playoffs, maybe gets back to a final, I think the fans will eventually come around because ultimately fans just want to win.
I don't know about that because here's the thing. There are certain markets for basketball where winning is not exactly everything. And I don't mean that you don't want to win or the teams are trying to be non-competitive, but I mean from a fan experience, what you want are people you like.
Right.
If winning comes along every so often, which it does in Dallas, then you'll take it. But getting rid of generational stars like that is a bad deal. And I'll use an example that I think you're going to understand. I'm from D.C. John Wall was the most popular player on the Wizards for years. They were god-awful. But that dude was the heart of the franchise. And when they dealt him, because of some situation that happened on social media, it was kind of like, bro, you guys aren't winning anyway. Why would you get rid of a fan favorite just because of something like that? I can understand why Mavs fans are like, this just wasn't worth it. Sure, if you win a title, it's great. But there's something to personalities. That's why we like sports. The actual humans involved matter just as much as the results to a lot of minds. There's more people like that than people want to realize, and I think this is the situation right now for Mavs fans.
How much of this is also, Clinton Yates is joining us here, that on the way out, first the GM trashed Luka's defensive acumen, which he's not going to be on an all NBA defensive team, and then the governor, essentially the owner, said we need good culture, essentially saying that Luka led to bad culture in the Mavericks locker room. I mean, they're just trashing this guy on the way out too.
Yeah, I don't love that, but I also don't have a problem with actually explaining the decision. I thought that was a decent piece of PR from Nico Harrison to say, look, there was a real basketball decision we made here. And you got to understand who Nico Harrison is. He was Kobe's guy at Nike. Never mind the fact that Rob Pelinka, the GM, was Kobe's agent. So we're talking about a guy who, when looking at superstars in the NBA, has a certain standard. And if they looked at Luka and said, all these first-team All-NBA honors are great, but we just don't think you got it in terms of what could potentially be the situation with signing him to a supermax, I get it. It's not the decision I would have made, but I do give them some credit for actually saying something about it and not acting like what was happening wasn't real. Is it a decision I would make? No. But they did at least explain it, and I do think there is some merit to that because they got rid of all the guys that he had around the franchise in terms of his trainers and all these other people. And if you're saying this guy doesn't fit our culture, okay, but you better be able to define what that culture is on the other side, because if he comes out here to L.A. and next thing you know he's a reformed man and everybody loves it and they've got rings galore, then you look like idiots with egg on your face. That's the concern, is that if you're wrong, you look stupid, not that you actually explain what you were doing.
All right, we're going to close on baseball with Clinton Yates, ESPN Radio, Clinton and Friends, at Clinton Yates on Twitter. I have a kicker to this, but I'm going to start with Aaron Boone and the Yankees, who called out the Dodgers for being classless. It basically comes from a podcast in which, I don't know, was it Taylor was saying the Yankees played bad defense. Everybody knew their defense was bad, which is true. Their defense was bad all year, and in the playoffs, base running and defense will lose you games, and the defense definitely lost the Yankees at least opportunities to win games in the playoffs. But Boone says we'll be classier if we're able to win the World Series. I think they have to win a World Series first.
Right, and I talked about this on the program this morning. This is a total crock for me. I don't know who died and made the Yankees the classiest organization in baseball. That's a complete falsehood. Let's not forget, this is a team whose fans grabbed Mookie Betts' arm during a play in the World Series to the degree that that guy got banned for life from the stadiums all across the league. I just didn't get this at all. It's like, yo, nothing anybody on the Dodgers said was wrong. You guys completely blew it in that fifth game, in the fifth inning. Everybody knows what happened. It'd be one thing if guys are just taking pot shots at stuff that wasn't exactly explicable, but it was. It was literally the reason why they scouted them that way, and that was what they were going for. It was completely effective. So for me, if I'm a Yankees fan, I don't want to be thinking about what that last opponent said. Your mind is in a totally wrong place as far as this next season goes. I didn't get that. I felt like it was a little bit beneath Booney, to be quite honest, a guy who's a baseball generational dude. Stop it. Stop talking about the Dodgers. Talk about the guys on your own team, because you let yourselves down as much as anything.
Yeah, I don't know if it's beneath him. I think he is in some ways petty. That's fine. I mean, I got no problem with it. I don't know that it was beneath him. I think it's part of his personality to be kind of defensive and lash out. Remember, they are blanking savages with the Yankees.
Never forget.
Final thing, as a DC guy, are you secretly rooting for the Mets this year because of Juan Soto?
No, man.
Oh,
the DC teams at this point are the teams of my youth. I moved to L.A. I'm 43 years old. That 2019 season was a magical year, and you got guys like Soto who are on other teams, guys like Rendon, who it feels like hasn't even played a game of baseball since he left. You got that hip situation today, an all-time bag stealer, that dude is. But I love the game for a lot of different reasons. It's not just the teams. I love college baseball as well. Big shout-out to my man Ryan McGee, who said to give a shout-out to the Enloe High School Eagles, because you know he's from that neck of the woods. We're always in Omaha together. So baseball as a sport writ large is what I first fell in love with in the world, and it's what I like. The teams, well, they're just the guys that play the game, so you'll love to see it.
Clinton Yates, best of luck to the show. Hopefully we can talk again down the road at Clinton Yates on Twitter. Thank you very much, man.
Sounds good. Have a great day, gang.
You too. Clinton Yates here on the Adam Gold Show. Couldn't get a secretly rooting for the Mets. Whatever. It's it is what it is.
Or the Cubs. Either one.
Yeah, well, there was the whole Juan Soto thing.
But I do have a lot of head coaches, previous and current ones, that like them. Like John Shire. He loves the Cubs.
Oh, he does. Yeah. Well,
and Coach K.
Duke. If you're a Duke, apparently you're a big Chicago fan. All right. When we come back, we will stretch. We will place bets. A rarity happened yesterday. Stonehenge.
Whoa.
Happened yesterday. I'll tell you what that is next.
Chapel Hill to Charlotte, Greenville to Greensboro. Your sports, his state. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
The North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services is looking for people age 21 or older to volunteer in long-term care facilities. Community Advisory Committee volunteers help residents and their families advocate for the needs of individuals living in long-term care facilities, such as nursing homes, assisted living facilities, and family care homes. Volunteers must complete orientation and training to become designated and certified representatives of the Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program. Visit ncdhhs.gov/aging to find your county's ombudsman.
Electricity. It's what powers our lives, from the ordinary to the extraordinary. In North Carolina, 26 local electric cooperatives provide energy to 2.8 million people across the state. But we're providing so much more than affordable, reliable power. We're helping to strengthen the people and communities that make our state great, today and for generations to come. North Carolina's electric cooperatives. Power you can count on, now and always. Learn more at ncelectriccooperatives.com.
It's okay not to be okay. Feelings of loneliness, anger, and worry are completely normal, and you're not alone. If you need help coping, call, text, or chat the free 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Someone is always there to talk, day or night. Together, we will find the care that works for you. Just call, text, or chat 988 anytime to talk to a trained counselor who will listen, provide support, and connect you to other resources that can help. Let's get through it together. Brought to you by the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services.
As fall championships begin, the Governor's Highway Safety Program would like to remind you to buckle your seatbelt when traveling home from today's events. Whether you're driving out of town or across town this holiday season, wearing a seatbelt is your best defense against injury or death in a crash. During the busiest time of travel, prioritize your safety and buckle up. Every seat, every time. And remember, click it or ticket. It's the law. This message brought to you by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association and the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
If you recently lost health coverage due to a life change, healthcare.gov is here for you. Like it was there for Marcus when he lost his job, and Keisha when she turned 26 and lost her parents' insurance, and Elena when she went off Medicaid. There are many other ways to qualify. Visit healthcare.gov today to see if you're eligible to enroll. Limited time to enroll. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Did you know that since you have public power, your electricity is operated and controlled by people in your community, not by a for-profit, investor-owned company? These local folks are directly accountable to you. They don't answer to shareholders. They make decisions for the good of your community. What's more, your public power provider invests in your community, providing jobs and supporting your local economy. Local people working together to meet local needs. That's public power. Learn more at electricities.com.
It's that time of year to come see me. Don't let COVID-19 and the flu stop you. So make sure you don't have to cancel on those you love the most.
By getting your flu and COVID vaccines. They're safe and effective.
Both flu and COVID vaccines have been updated to fight against new virus strains.
So make sure you don't miss that family gathering and protect those around you. Ask your healthcare provider about updated flu and COVID-19 shots.
Get protected this season with updated COVID-19 and flu shots. Visit myspot.nc.gov and find yours today.
As fall championships begin, the Governor's Highway Safety Program would like to remind you to buckle your seatbelt when traveling home from today's events. Whether you're driving out of town or across town this holiday season, wearing a seatbelt is your best defense against injury or death in a crash. During the busiest time of travel, prioritize your safety and buckle up. Every seat, every time. And remember, click it or ticket. It's the law. This message brought to you by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association and the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
Gold. Gold.
Was the hug because of the soft, fuzzy thing you're wearing?
It's a comment. I'm a great hugger. People like to hug me. But yes, it's helpful when I'm soft and fuzzy.
Is that a skill?
It may be, yes.
I think it is a skill.
I think it is a skill.
Yeah.
You know who else gives really great hugs? Mike Meniscalco.
Really?
He is one of my favorite huggers. Yes. Every time I see him, he gives the best hugs.
I'm going to try that at the next home game.
Do it.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. Victoria on the ones and twos. We will place bets in a moment. I will tell you a rarity, like a unicorn, from last night. But right now, let's stretch.
Okay, so
Clinton Yates would have liked this music.
I know. I love that he's a baseball fan. He'll definitely have to come back on when there's more baseball things to talk about. But
pitchers and catchers have started to report.
I know. So I know you talked about the dog show here recently.
Yeah.
So speaking of our doggos, if any of your dogs have microchips in them, you might want to listen up because some of them may not be working here for a minute. So,
What?
I know. The problem is there's a Texas-based chip company called Save This Life that went under and apparently didn't tell anyone about it. So if you scan one of the chips that came from there, it's not going to be linked to anything, and there's no way to contact you. However, the American Animal Hospital Association does keep a central database of all the chip numbers, which you have to register, and they had to register. So what you can do is you can re-register your microchip through the company, and then you can do that for free. So that way you don't have to worry about it. But yeah, now I need to check and see where our BIPs came from. I don't know if it came from this Texas-based company, but just in case, you might want to check up on that and re-register. If you have to, it could be free. So there you go. And you can check at aaha.org for all of that good stuff. Now, other good things that, we hope it's good things. Valentine's Day is this Friday. So if anyone's forgetting, this is your reminder. But here are a couple, what they call surprising trends for Valentine's.
Okay.
I don't really know if this is surprising, but I'm also a weirdo. So first up, they're saying most women would rather stay in than go out, which...
For Valentine's Day?
Yeah, okay. Especially if the weather looks like this. Yeah. Nobody wants to have to go out and that stuff. So don't feel bad if your idea is just to, make dinner at home. She might like that and or prefer it. Also... women, if you're thinking about proposing on that day, women don't really want you to because they think it's overrated. Over half of the women...
Proposing or Valentine's Day?
Yeah, proposing on Valentine's Day. Most women who ever were polled in this thing say, yeah, no, it's overrated. Let's not do that. I feel like that probably also falls in the same category of being proposed to at games, sporting events. I don't know. I mean, most are probably like, no, don't do that. You might set yourself up for a bad situation. Also, I promise I did not make this list. However, this sounds like a great idea. Google says the top trending Valentine's date is actually going to an arcade.
Really?
Yes.
Like a Dave & Buster's?
Yes.
Okay.
I love going to it. It's escaping me now. Oh, Boxcar. That's what it's called. I love going there.
Very cool.
I love playing pinball. I could play pinball all day. So, yes, and I promise that's not coming from me, but they did say zoos are also the next one. I know we have one in Asheboro. And they have these paint and sip parties. So even if you're not a painter, it's okay. It gets better with the more you drink. So
very good.
There's that. And then last but not least, us men, they actually like the idea. Have you ever heard of Galentine's Day?
No.
Okay, Galentine's Day is where girlfriends will go out and celebrate. A lot of times, if you're single, you might go out with a group of girls and, just kind of celebrate the day with your friends. Well, guys, they're feeling left out, apparently, because they want an equivalent of Galentine's Day. Bro Day? I don't
Nice.
I don't know. So, yeah, if your guy brings up that idea, which usually that's done on the 13th, which would be tomorrow. So, who knows? But let your dude do that if he wants to, I suppose. And you know what? There will be more sporting things to watch for your bro day if you want to, which I may or may not have a bet on.
Place your bets. Here we are. I bet you slice into the woods $100.
Gambling is illegal at Bushwood, sir, and I never slide.
Okay, you can owe me. I owe you nothing.
All right, here's the unicorn.
Oh, yes.
I went 3 for 3 yesterday. Real Madrid won at City.
Yes.
Kentucky beat Tennessee. UConn won at Creighton.
Wow.
3 for 3. Touch me.
There you go. All
right, you go first.
See, you found your secret sauce. You know
I did.
You know where to go now. Well, tonight we've got some basketball. So, unfortunately, I'm starting with Louisville and NC State. I wish I could say that I'm confident in State tonight. However, I've got to go with Louisville. So give me them to win, and I'm going to take the under 143 points. That's plus 140.
All right, we are going to start with college basketball. We'll play both triangle games. NC State home to Louisville. They are 6.5-point underdogs. Give me the 6.5 points. And we'll take Duke and lay the 23.5 against Cal. They are going to pay the price for Duke's loss on Saturday to Clemson. Parlay those at plus 265.
All right, well, I'm doing a second basketball game. Florida State and Wake Forest. They're going to be in Wake Forest, out in my old stomping grounds, 336. So give me Wake Forest to win this one. They're huge underdogs, but whatever. And I'll take the under 143.5. That's plus 145.
All right, I think this is stealing money.
Ooh.
Canada's going to beat Sweden.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know if it's going to be tight or if it's going to... I think there'll be some goals in the game. Cale Makar, plus 425 anytime goal scorer.
Ooh.
I feel like they've just reached out and handed me money.
Yeah.
So Cale Makar to score a goal at plus 425.
Always like a Makar goal.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of USA and Finland, that game, I didn't finish this bet from yesterday. So my last one with that game, I'm going to say, because I feel like there's going to be a lot of scoring in all of these games, give me a first period goal in the first 5 minutes. That's plus 188.
All right. Liverpool and Everton in the Merseyside derby. This was supposed to be played months ago, but it was kind of snowed into this part of the calendar. So this is the last one at Everton Stadium called Goodison Park, the last one ever there. Everton has a new manager, David Moyes, who spent the last several years at West Ham, but was at Everton for a long time. He gets this. I think Everton pulls something out of this game. It's a draw plus 350. And Abdoulaye Doucouré scores an anytime goal plus 800. I'm giving away wins. That's what I'm doing.
Making more sports sense than social media trolls. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
This just in, hot off the bench press. Planet Fitness has added new strength equipment. Save when you join today, and you can be one of the first to try it out. We're raising the bar with new benches, and our new hack squat will have you actually looking forward to leg day. Plus, we're still repping all of the best-in-class equipment we've always had. So let's do this. Join Planet Fitness today and save. Just $1 down, $15 a month.
Offer ends February 13th. Join today for $1 down, $15 a month.
See Home Club for details.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now save 50% on the new Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Plus free home delivery. Ends President's Day. Exclusively to Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
Get ready! The Chatley Boat Show and Sale is coming to the State Fairgrounds February 14th through the 16th at the Carr Scott Building. It'll be filled to the max with boats ready for immediate delivery featuring Suzuki outboards. Shop center console, runabouts, deck boats, bass boats, pontoons, aluminum boats, and more, all under one roof. Boat Show only savings, discounts up to $12,000, factory rebates, and special financing on site. The Chatley Boat Show and Sale, February 14th through the 16th at the Carr Scott Building on the State Fairgrounds, featuring Suzuki outboards, free admission and parking.
What could you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold, hard cash. You can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, and often no appraisal. Listen, the average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out and paid off all their credit cards, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day. So act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com, 919-381-1760. Get the money you need for anything. 919-381-1760, LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Jackson Hewitt makes taxes feel like a yacht rock song.
April breeze, give me my biggest tax refund, please. You, me, and a lifetime accuracy guarantee.
And now get $100 just to try Jackson Hewitt. Does your tax person do that?
Say goodbye to that no guarantee tax guy.
Ready to sail through tax season? Go to Jackson Hewitt and you'll be limited time offer for new clients. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com.
The next disaster is coming. Make a plan. Keep extra medication on hand. Make copies of important documents. Stay informed and be ready. Learn more at americares.org/sendusin.
With Target, checking off your Valentine's Day list has never been easier. First, surprise your favorite people with something extra thoughtful, like a soothing candle and a memorable scent, or a decorative picture frame to show off every moment. Both buy one, get one 50% off with Target Circle. And don't forget to treat yourself. Find the sweetest style for your special occasion with 20% off women's dresses now through Friday. This week, find Valentine's gifts for everyone you love, only at Target.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on the radio, Instagram, TikTok, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
I remember vividly the TJ Sochi shootout.
Same move.
Yeah, same move against Bobrovsky. I mean, he was the goalie here in Columbus, right? I was playing for the U.S. program, U17 year, and we were all in the locker room watching the shootout because the time change was different. It was in Russia. So actually, it was like me, Austin Matthews, Charlie McAvoy, Noah Hamilton. We were all in the room watching it, and we're all going to play at the Four Nations together now. So I think that's pretty cool. It's a full circle moment for all of us. Really honored to put that jersey on. Really excited for it.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Four Nations starts tonight. First, this week is in Montreal. The scene shifts to Boston, I believe, next week. I think it's Monday and Wednesday is the championship match. I think Wednesday. It starts tonight. One game. Canada and Sweden tonight. USA, Finland tomorrow. Then there are two games on Saturday. Sweden, Finland, USA, Canada, prime time. Appointment viewing there. Then on Monday, two games, Canada, Finland, and USA, Sweden. And then on Wednesday, we will have the championship game between whichever two teams are the two best. They're hoping that it will be USA and Canada. Even though we're going to see that once, they're hoping that we will get it twice. And those two, they have the best rosters. I think Sweden and Finland will be plucky in their own ways. Finland does catch a blow with no Miro Heiskanen on the blue line, probably their best defenseman, who is injured. He plays for the Dallas Stars. All right. Normally here we would do Wall of Sound. We're going to change it up a little bit. John Forsland, by the way, is going to join us in about 15 minutes, and we will talk the Four Nations face-off with him. He's taking a rare spell off.
Right, I know. This little gap of time is giving everyone
he'll have the shakes.
Right?
He'll have the shakes. Maybe we'll get a That's Hockey Baby from John Forsland. All right.
Man, now I want wings.
So I put this out on Blue Sky first, and then I went to Twitter. I want to do a little bit of a mailbag here. You can ask any question you want. We'll try to do this at least once a week, as long as it's interesting to me. As I've already said, I am only concerned with entertaining myself. Sorry. If I entertain myself, what I'm guessing is that it translates.
Sure.
Right? That's what I'm looking for. If I can amuse myself, then we're all good. All right, we don't have any music for this. We do. I was wrong.
I do. I'm always prepared. I try to be.
We have music for this. All right, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to try and call it Sky's the Limit because I put it out on Blue Sky first. Okay, from Ashley. Might this be the first year of a true goalie tandem in the playoffs for the Hurricanes because one isn't outperforming the other? I'll answer it this way. If it's a true goalie tandem, then it doesn't matter. Carolina's got bad goaltending. That's what because they will not be a true tandem if one of them is playing well. It will not be so if it's a true tandem, if they're alternating, then Rod is he doesn't know that they're both bad. My guess is they might have already made a trade. All right, there were so many people who asked the same question. So if you ask me this question, you know who you are. What do all the stuff I read about Mikko Rantanen won't re-sign here? All of it is based on basically from two people, because all these stories are being aggregated by comments from two different people, Paul Bissonnette from TNT and Nick Kyprios for Sportsnet. I'm not knocking either of those people. They have said flat out Mikko Rantanen won't re-sign. But they're both based in the same thing. They are both based on past history. Taken from me, who has already been fooled by the Hurricanes 3 different times. What happened in the past is the past. What happens in the future is very different. Because what they're saying is that the Hurricanes won't pay Mikko Rantanen because they didn't pay Jake Gensel. They waited too long to meet Gensel's ask, for sure. But it will not be the case with Rantanen because they know going in order to keep him, because he would have already re-signed in Colorado if that was going to be an easy negotiation. And so he wanted to get paid. He wanted to get paid what his player should get paid. And I don't care if he doesn't score a goal for the Hurricanes. If the Hurricanes want to keep him, and I think they do, they will meet his contract demand. The only reason why Mikko Rantanen won't be a Hurricane beyond this year is if he doesn't want to, which means he didn't enjoy playing here. He didn't enjoy living here. That would be the difference. That's it. And I would say that that's a possibility. I think it's just fair to say that's a possibility. He might not vibe with his teammates, might not vibe with the coach, might not vibe in the system, although I think he will. All right. So let's move in a similar vein. By the way, we've got to get questions other than hockey. Like they're all...
There's so many other things.
There were a couple of other things, but they were basically hockey questions. What do you think about Martin Necas's fit in Colorado? Let's see. You're super fast, and you're skating next to a guy who's super fast, and the whole goal is to see how fast you can be.
And then score a goal.
He's been great there.
Yep.
I mean, defensively he hasn't been great, but it's all right. He wasn't great here defensively. But he's playing with somebody who plays at the same exact pace. Nobody plays at that pace here. And that's not a knock on anybody here, because that is an abnormal pace. Martin Necas, I believe, has been the fastest player in the league this year. So, there you go. All right. We have Perry. So we did get a question that was not about hockey. What do you think about the future of App State being in the ACC? And I thought about, I could very easily say, get out of here, App State's never going to be in the ACC. But I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that App State is in the ACC. Because it really depends on two things. One, when the world of college football explodes to the point where we've got just 40 teams, or maybe it's big enough to encompass 80 teams. But if we've just got 40 teams, and the Big Ten and the SEC basically do their own thing with certain additions from the other conferences, then no. Well, then yes, App State could be in the ACC, because the ACC would, at that point, cease to be a power conference. And that's not a knock on App State. That's really a knock on the ACC. And the other thing is, if we end up at 80, a much larger version of a power structure in football, well, App State is one of those schools that is good at football and I think could support taking it to another step. In which case, if we kind of live within the 4 major conferences that we've got, yeah, I could see it. I do think that it's a long shot that an App or an East Carolina would ever be in the ACC, but I painted a scenario in which it was possible. All right, final thing. Chase, if you could spend this is a great question. If you could spend a day with a Teletubby, which Teletubby would it be?
A Teletubby?
Right. And then he listed the Teletubbies. Here's my answer, and I can do what I want with this segment, right? I've never watched the Teletubbies, ever.
I mean, at least throw out the Power Rangers. What are we doing?
So my answer is, if you had said the Wiggles, which in some ways is similar to the Teletubbies,
very,
I would have an answer. First of all, I was devastated when Greg Page retired in the mid-2000s. Devastated. I mean, it crushed me. And Anthony, by the way, Anthony Field is still going. He's 40-some-odd years old. He's still a Wiggle.
Wow.
The show is on the low pretty good.
Yeah.
The Wiggles.
Okay.
So if we had, and plus they have the same bright colors and all that. But Teletubbies, no. But if you had asked me if I could have spent the day with a Wiggle,
yeah,
I would have said it would be Greg Page, and I would ask him, why did you retire? He had health issues.
It's very, very random. That is very random.
Thank you very much.
I've even thought about it, so to build this segment, I'm going to have the You've Got Mail for people who know what that was. That sound. Oh, yeah, I'm going to make a You've Got Mail sounder.
An AOL. The whole AOL thing. Yeah, there you go. So appreciate your questions. I didn't get to Katie's, what do I think of Miko in this system? The Hurricanes went out to get Miko Rantanen because they felt he could play this system because he's good in certain areas that they need to be effective. So we'll see. I do think that Rod said something to me Saturday before the game against Utah, before we knew that Miko wasn't going to play. He said, we're asking him to do more than he had to do in Colorado, which explains the time on ice. Like Rod said, we're asking him to work harder here.
Right. Yeah.
So it's going to come with some reduction in ice time.
Makes sense.
But, everybody looks at it in certain ways. We think this all happens in a vacuum. It does not. John Forsland will join us. 4 nations, 1 winner. John Forsland next.
From the heels,
touchdown, Carolina,
to the canes.
She scores!
He covers it all. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
If Super Bowl 59 shows us anything, it shows that defense wins championships. That tried and true saying, defense wins championships. And if you're the Carolina Panthers, this is something you have to devote this offseason to fixing. Draft picks, free agency. You have to strengthen up that side of the football. You have to be great on defense in order to win.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
Bonuses used to be everywhere. Boxes of cereal, a baker's dozen, airline upgrades, even without quadruple diamond platinum status. Life is better with the bonus. That's why the North Carolina Education Lottery is adding bonus chances to multiply your win on Multiply the Cash scratch-offs. More chances than ever to win over $140 million in total prizes. Because everything is better with a bonus. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning range from 1 in 3.31 to 4.86. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
This Valentine's Day, if you really want to impress me, how about a romantic meal at home from the Butcher's Market? So we each get a juicy filet mignon, lobster tails, twice-baked potatoes, and 4 long-stem chocolate-covered strawberries. Pretty romantic.
Right. And the folks over at the Butcher's Market have made it so easy for guys like us. I just order online, and it'll be ready for pickup when I walk in the door.
So what are you waiting for? Visit thebutchersmarket.com now. Trust me, you'll be glad you did.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the 3rd time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now save 50% on the new Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Plus free home delivery. Ends President's Day. Exclusively to Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
Tim Donnelly here for Zero Res. February is the month for love. Lucky for you, Zero Res is going to spread the love to your rug. It's the Love Your Rug Special. Have you ever Googled the company Zero Res? They have a 4.9 rating, and they want to come in and take all the nasty dirt, dander, bacteria, and germs that keep recirculating again and again and again throughout your house from your carpets and floors and get rid of them. They want you to love your floors the way you should this February. So visit them online at zeroresraleigh.com or call 919-995-0000 and get the Love Your Rug Special. That's 3 rooms of carpets cleaned starting at $109 and $100 off air duct cleaning on top of it. It's happening this month from Zero Res. ZeroResRaleigh.com or 919-995-0000.
ZipRecruiter is the place. ZipRecruiter is the place for talented teachers, savvy software developers, and master mixologists. ZipRecruiter is the place where you meet all these people and more. That's because ZipRecruiter is the place for job seekers who are looking for new opportunities. In fact, ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day, so you can find the right candidates right away. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
This is Adam Gold.
80-second mark, I scream in the booth. I screamed in the booth. Why the heck is he still on the ice?
Did you say it in Finnish?
I should have.
Yes.
No, he wouldn't. He curses in English.
He does.
All right, 2 seconds later, he scored.
Yes.
And I went, oh, that's why. That's what.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria on the 1s and 2s. It's not the Olympics. It's closer to an all-star game masquerading as an international tournament, but I still think it will be fun. And I think that all the players involved will love wearing their nation's uniforms, and again, it will be way better than watching an all-star game. John Forsland, the voice of hockey, the voice of the Seattle Kraken, TNT, Prime Mondays in Canada, joins us in advance of the Four Nations face-off. It is Canada-Sweden today. John Forsland, how are you?
I'm great, Adam. How you doing? Thanks for having me.
You must be going through the shakes. You haven't had a game to call in like 4 days.
It's different. It's withdrawal. Yeah, shakes are about right. Yeah, that's right.
All right. So, did you think I described it accurately? I mean, it's not the Olympics, but it is. Yeah. It's better than the All-Star game. I know Rod doesn't like this whole thing, but he says it's way better than the All-Star game.
Yeah, I'm with him. I'm not sure about this. I agree. It's better than the All-Star game, but that's an exceptionally low bar. This circumstance here might take on some legs and might not. I don't know. There's so much randomness attached to the tournament. A couple of days, get together, take some publicity pictures, go out to dinner as a team, and start playing. And the best players in the world are involved in the 4 countries. It excludes a lot of other players who will be involved in the Olympics next year. But it's okay, and it could be great. So I guess that's the way we have to objectively look at it and just see how it goes along here. But I do think it'll be up to the players to fully invest emotionally if they can, and I'm not sure they can.
Right.
They're in the middle of their seasons. They don't want to get hurt. I think that's human nature. Their buddies are all on vacation with their families. It's a little different. So we'll see how it happens and how it unfolds tonight.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see a super physical Four Nations face-off, and that's probably good. You might not even see that at the Olympics, but is there – I know there's the assumption that we are going to have the NHL players in the Olympic Games. Do we know this for certain at this point? Aren't there still things that have to be ironed out?
It's pretty much done.
Okay.
It's as close as it can be, and this is part of it. This is why we're here. There's been an ask from the players for a long time to get back to this. A lot of, as we know, 22 and 18, there were a lot of different things that were involved that restricted the NHL involvement. But now moving forward, for revenues and for, great complicity between the league and its union, this is what everybody wants at least every 4 years. I think if a World Cup is probably something they'd like to get to, that's got to get worked out. If that's going to happen every 2 years in the fall, which is the most natural time for that type of a tournament, we'll see. I hope we get there too. And then I hope that they look at an all-star game, and if you have to have it, you have to have it, but let's not, condense our seasons too much like we have with a bye week and an all-star break and all those different things.
Here's the thing, and this is what the NHL doesn't really like, and I know, again, I talked to Rod about this. He doesn't like it. He doesn't like interrupting the season. Why couldn't, basketball is played at the exact same time hockey is during the regular season. But basketball gets to play their Olympics in the summer games. I realize we play on ice, but we play indoors. Why can't they just shift hockey to the summer games rather than shut the season down for 3 weeks?
There's nothing wrong with that. You could do that, and then it would be really something to behold. And if you can't do that, then maybe what you have to do is get back to the old Canada Cup format, World Cup format, where, the teams are basically formulated in the previous spring. There's an orientation camp for those players in the middle of the summer with their families where they all get together and go to resorts and learn about each other and so on. And then they get together before September and have a full-blown training camp. And then those players don't have to worry about their NHL training camps. They basically play for 3 weeks in a real tournament environment, and you crown a champion, and then you join your NHL teams. And then you don't condense the schedule, which to me, aside from shutting down the league, but I guess that's the byproduct of shutting down the league, is the fact that we've condensed 82 games so much that you're playing a crazy amount of games in short periods of time, risking players' injury and all those things that come with it. And then the owners have so much at stake when you break. They're holding their collective breath, hoping nobody gets hurt, because if you do return and one of your star players is injured, and if it's long-term, God forbid, then you're in a bad spot, right? So these are things that we'll see, and that's why you're right. I think you get a little bit better than the All-Star game with this, but really not full investment.
Yeah, we're not. I don't think we're going to have super physical games. So let me ask you about I want to really start with Seth Jarvis here, because Jarvis made Team Canada. I think there were a lot of eyebrows that were raised when he was named to the team. Those of us who watched him last year did not raise an eyebrow. We expected Jarvis to be in the mix because he is, I think, more than good enough to be on that team. Brad Marchand said in December he was looking forward to playing with Jarvis. Lo and behold, he's playing on a line, at least in terms of practice lines, with Braden Point and Seth. I mean, that could be a whole ball of fun.
Yeah, that line has a lot of intrigue attached to it, and three players who play in a similar vein.
Yep.
And I'm a big fan of this young guy. I agree as a guy that's way on the outside now that watches him. He is a gamer. He is an ultimate competitor. This circumstance is only going to make him better. And when he returns to the Hurricanes, he's going to have even more confidence than he already has, which is, I think, through the roof. So, yes, he belongs there. Every player that has a role here belongs for the reasons that they were picked. And I think Canada was attempting to put together a team, not necessarily all the best players in all 12 slots, but guys who could fill roles.
Right.
And if Point, Marchand, and Jarvis are thrown out there collectively, they're going to check. They're going to probably match up against the best line on the other side, I would think, which is going to free up the McDavids and the rest of them to do what they need to do in secondary matchups. So, John Cooper is brilliant, and he also has buy-ins with Anthony Cirelli and Brandon Hagel from his own team, and he's going to use those players in similar circumstances to kill penalties and win face-offs and take defensive zone draws and all those things. So that's an interesting dynamic in a short period of time, but that's how they went about it, Team Canada, to pick players that fill slots.
Also with Seth, you get a guy who kills penalties, and he's good at it. And Marchand clearly does that as well because he's good at it. These guys, they do. They have, for all of the, I guess there's some negativity that's kind of circles around Marchand. I love him as a player. He is a total team guy, and has always buys into the defensive side of the puck. I think they'd work great together. Yeah,
and Brad Marchand's a Hall of Famer. Let's not make any mistake about that. He will be in the Hall of Fame someday, and I think a player like Jarvis can model himself after him, and also Braden Point, who is exceptional. Is just an exceptional player who's a third-round pick, who's managed to become elite in a variety of different ways, and he knows how to win.
Yep.
Right, and I think that's the next step for a player like Jarvis, is getting to that point where you're in a winning program. Yes, a regular season winning program, but a program that gets it done and wins the Stanley Cup. That's where a lot of these players are coming from. Marchand and Point are prime examples of that.
No question about it. John Forsland is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. All right, so Canada's lineup is obviously stacked, but if you had to pick out one area where they're not quite as good, where would it be?
Well, I think it's obvious. I think they come up short in goal, and I think they lack a little bit on the back end. Alex Pietrangelo not being involved in this will hurt them. Quinn Hughes not being involved for the United States will hurt them. But man for man defensively, and also man for man from the goal out, I think the United States is the favorite, country. We're not alone if we think this way. A lot of people do. I think the odds are with the United States in this short tournament. But when you look at tonight's game, for example, Sweden's going to throw out an excellent group of players.
Yeah.
And a very formidable group on defense. And in these situations where it's one game for 3 points, it'll be interesting to see where it goes. And it'll also be interesting to see if Jordan Binnington can deliver. And if he can't, what do you do? It's not necessarily a slam dunk that you change. Do you give him another chance?
Right.
Or do you make a change in goal? So that's the intrigue behind this, and some of the coaching decisions that will have to be made, if it doesn't go according to plan in game number one, because you can solidify your hopes with 2 games, basically, the way the point structure is set up if you get it done in regulation. And that's what they're all shooting for when they start.
All right, same question about the United States. Where would their weakness be?
I think their weakness might be a little bit on defense, just a little bit. I don't see a lot of weakness in the United States.
Right.
I think it's things that don't go their way. It's a power play that doesn't gel. But remember, you have not one, you have 2 all-star units. So for that to happen would be interesting. But if say, for instance, whatever country it is, if it's Finland and their penalty killing is extraordinary and you get shut down in one game, that's all it takes. And then how do these players handle it if it's not going the way they envision it?
Right.
That's where you get to the random nature of the tournament. You don't have an ability to play 4 games in a round robin setting. There is a round robin, but it's extremely short.
Right.
So with the 3-2-1 point structure, this will be interesting to watch, because as the games play out, there'll be a game within the game where they're all going to have to fight off a few demons. Oh, geez, we're not successful with our power play like we thought. Are we getting frustrated now? Or are we getting goalied?
Right.
And if you get goalied, that's hockey.
John Forsland is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. I'm not sure how Canada's top power play unit doesn't score every time.
No kidding.
I'm blanking on the fifth player, but McKinnon, McDavid, McCarr, Sam Reinhart, they have to score every single. Don't take penalties against them. You can't stop them.
Yeah, and you know what? That's another thing too, because how many penalties are actually going to be taken? You know, is it going to be a game where, if you look at the Olympics, there are not a lot of penalties called in Olympic hockey, because they're usually in position, they're usually playing at a high level of skill where they're not using their hands to restrain players, their sticks to impede players. There's no retaliation or people losing tempers because it's not physical. So maybe that's a moot point. Maybe there's 1 or 2 or 3 power plays per game. I don't think we'll see 5 power plays, on each side. I'd be surprised at that. But, and then this is kind of the qualifier in all this, is if they start to push back and forth, if there starts to become angst between, say, Canada and the United States, does it get physical?
Right.
Then what? It'll be interesting.
It absolutely will. So you say the United States is winning this?
I do. Yeah.
I mean, there are 2 favorites basically, and then we'll see if Sweden or Finland can muck up the works. See if one of those 2 can extract something from one of those games to kind of tip the scales one way or the other. But either way, on Monday, we're going to have a game of consequence. One of those teams will be playing for a spot in the championship round because they have to play each other first. And it should be a lot of fun. And that, of course, is Saturday night in prime time. I will bother you again, sir. I hope you enjoy your time off.
You can bother me all you want, and I am enjoying my time off.
Good.
Yes, I am.
John Forsland, the best there is. I appreciate your time, sir. We'll talk to you again later.
Okay, Adam. Anytime.
You got
Thanks,
it.
buddy.
John Forsland, voice of hockey, voice of the Seattle Kraken. I know I took Finland earlier this week, whenever we did this. Yeah, they have a very good team. But those other teams are crazy. Now, Sweden's got it. If you look at Sweden's blue line, holy mackerel, Sweden is loaded on the blue line. I think if the United States has a weakness, it's actually down the middle. Canada has so many options at center. I don't think the United States has quite as many options down the middle. All right, we'll rewind when we come back. We'll talk UNC football. We'll talk about was Carolina trying to get out of the ACC? Next.
Talking sports, dropping truth. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
The North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services is looking for people age 21 or older to volunteer in long-term care facilities. Community Advisory Committee volunteers help residents and their families advocate for the needs of individuals living in long-term care facilities, such as nursing homes, assisted living facilities, and family care homes. Volunteers must complete orientation and training to become designated and certified representatives of the Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program. Visit ncdhhs.gov/aging to find your county's ombudsman.
Electricity. It's what powers our lives, from the ordinary to the extraordinary. In North Carolina, 26 local electric cooperatives provide energy to 2.8 million people across the state. But we're providing so much more than affordable, reliable power. We're helping to strengthen the people and communities that make our state great, today and for generations to come. North Carolina's electric cooperatives. Power you can count on, now and always. Learn more at ncelectriccooperatives.com.
I'm Faith. I work as an American Sign Language interpreter, and I just graduated from my bachelor's program. I texted 988 because at the moment where I needed help, I realized that I didn't have access to English at the moment. Sometimes speaking gets hard for me, and they just helped me calm down, and then I was able to find a friend. It's free, and you can get in touch with people who are trained to help through all sorts of crises.
Call, text, or chat 988-24/7.
Hey, it's Adam Gold, and if you are in need of a midweek boost, FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, they got you back. The Hump Day Parlays Reward Stack. Every Wednesday, you can get parlay profit boost on everything from spreads to totals, even player props. Don't let the weekends have all the fun. Let's make Wednesday a night to remember. The Hump Day Parlays Reward Stack in the FanDuel app. Find your profit boost there. Go to FanDuel.com/AGS. FanDuel.com/AGS. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NBA. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. Opt-in required. Maximum wager amount applies. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including token expiration. See terms for both offers at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
If you recently lost health coverage due to a life change, healthcare.gov is here for you. Like it was there for Marcus when he lost his job, and Keisha when she turned 26 and lost her parents' insurance, and Elena when she went off Medicaid. There are many other ways to qualify. Visit healthcare.gov today to see if you're eligible to enroll. Limited time to enroll. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Did you know that since you have public power, your electricity is operated and controlled by people in your community, not by a for-profit investor-owned company? These local folks are directly accountable to you. They don't answer to shareholders. They make decisions for the good of your community. What's more, your public power provider invests in your community, providing jobs and supporting your local economy. Local people working together to meet local needs. That's public power. Learn more at electricities.com.
I choose to stay up to date on my vaccines to protect what matters most, my community.
Don't let COVID-19 and the flu stop you.
So make sure you have protection against new virus strains that continue to spread this fall and winter.
Don't wait. Get up to date.
Because my health is our health.
Ask your healthcare provider about updated flu and COVID-19 shots.
Don't wait. Get your updated shots today.
Visit myspot.nc.gov and find yours today.
This is Adam Gold.
80-second mark, I scream in the booth. I screamed in the booth. Why the heck is he still on the ice?
Did you say it in Finnish?
I should have.
Yes.
No, he wouldn't. He curses in English.
He does.
All right, 2 seconds later, he scored.
Yes.
And I went, oh, that's why. That's why.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. Victoria producing the program. Love it when John Forsland comes on to talk about these things. Four Nations tonight should be fun. I will watch 8 o'clock. We also have NC State and Duke playing ball. Wolfpack have Louisville. Look, we've talked about it. This is not one of those, man, we should win this game for NC State, right? They don't have a lot of those left. Actually, they don't have any of those we should win this game, right? Based on the fact that they've only won 2. But I do keep, and maybe I'm allowing myself to be fooled. I watch the Wolfpack and like the game at Stanford. Not that Stanford's great. And they were missing one of their best players in Jalen Blakes. But for the same price, they win that game, and they got really good performances from Dontrez Styles, from Trey Parker, from Marcus Hill. They have other good players. I refuse to believe that this team is a 4-16 ACC team in this year. In this ACC season. I refuse to believe that. So, you're going into a game here where you're 2 games right now behind where Notre Dame is. Notre Dame is at 4-8. The Wolfpack are 2-10. You've got to get, now you only have to get, if Notre Dame is the team you're chasing, you only have to get to where they are because you've beaten them. So if you can win twice and equal them, I don't know how many games they've got left to win. They are playing. at Boston College tonight. And that game, because BC is tied with State at 2 wins. So that is a game where if BC wins, great. You're actually rooting for the team you're tied with because it would keep Notre Dame closer to you. But if Notre Dame goes and gets that, State's got to find 3 wins out of their last 8, and this is going to be a difficult week to get to. Louisville, one of the best teams in the league. Right now, if you looked at the league, there are 5 teams for 4 spots with the double bye. Duke, Clemson, Louisville, SMU, who beat Pitt badly last night, and Wake Forest. Ultimately, I think Wake Forest will get over SMU, and they will play on Saturday. They will play against each other on Saturday. But I think Wake, Louisville, Clemson, and Duke will be your double bye teams. State's got to figure out a way probably to get to 5 wins at least. They might need 6 to climb out of the bottom 3, which since Liverpool and Everton have started, I could talk about relegation. You want to get to safety if you're NC State. That probably means it's a minimum of 5 wins. Might be 6. Can you get to 6? Can you win 4 of your last 8? Yeah, that's exactly where we are. As for the Blue Devils, who host Cal tonight, Cal isn't great. Duke should win this game. It should be a name-your-final-score night. But coming out of the loss at Clemson, Dallin Cuff of the ACC network at ESPN has his doubts.
They may be the most talented team, guys, but I have a huge question about their league. Now, they did take a loss at Clemson. And again, late game, they didn't look great. Teams were able to space them out because they're switching everything and attack Cooper Flagg. Chase Hunter was outstanding late game. Vicar Locken was great throughout the game, but they attacked Cooper Flagg. They went at him defensively. And I don't care if he was under the weather. Late game, again, he struggled to produce. When the game was on the line, he lost his footing, slipped, turnover, going the other way. Now, I want them to learn from these mistakes and learn from these losses. The problem is I don't think they're going to see many of them. And the last time we saw them, even in this situation with game pressure, was 3 months ago almost, when they played Kentucky and Kansas and lost in both those games. Freshmen will have the ball in their hands. I want them to be more battle-tested. I don't think they're getting it. If they do, and they pass those tests, or even if they lose some of them, I might actually feel better.
All right. I think there's some truth to what Dallin Cuff said. I think there's no truth to the Cooper Flagg, because Cooper Flagg produced late in that game. Absolutely produced. Did he slip on the potential go-ahead bucket? Yes, he slipped. No doubt about it. He didn't slip at Kansas. He didn't slip at Kentucky. He turned it over in the opportunities there. Twice against Kentucky, once against Kansas, and then the other time against Kansas, the other turnover was Con Knipple. Duke turned it over. Duke has had the ball in their hands with a chance to win in the 3 losses that they've got. I do think there is something to the league does not provide enough opportunities to have to fight to win a game. I think that is a real thing. I've been saying that all year. I've said that about Gonzaga before. Now, there's no way to prove I'm right or wrong. But that is my fear about Duke, that by and large, in the ACC this year, there are just laugher after laugher after laugher. But Wake Forest wasn't a laugher. Duke battled through that one. They didn't win at Clemson, but they were down in the second half, and they fought back. And this is where maybe Dallin Cuff didn't quite see the entire second half of that, because I think Cooper Flagg did make a lot of really good plays, including score some buckets late that put Duke in front. Anyway, Duke's going to have to earn everything. They will not be given anything. All right, it's time for a rewind. All right. I read this last night on The Athletic. Our friend Brendan Marks covers basketball mostly, but he also covered the hiring of Bill Belichick. We talked to him about that a few weeks ago, a month ago or so, whatever it was. And I read about like a behind-the-scenes pursuit, if you will, of maybe leaving the ACC or exploring those possibilities legally. And it's something called Carolina Blue. So I asked Brendan about the code word Carolina Blue and what does it mean if they have even gotten to that point.
Yeah, so the Carolina Blue matter essentially has been the code name for North Carolina's behind closed doors look into conference realignment and basically seeing what the Tar Heels' options were as the landscape of conference realignment has consistently been changing. And, you know, this is a project that dates back to September 2022. That's when North Carolina first sort of engaged outside counsel trying to look into, hey, legally speaking, what are our options? That obviously was about 14 months after the SEC announced that it was taking in Texas and Oklahoma. It was about 3 months after UCLA and USC announced they were going to the Big Ten. So, again, starting during one of the most volatile times in modern college athletics. And though that investigation, those explorations have continued all the way up through at least November of last year, according to our record. So, you know, I think a lot of people sort of assumed that North Carolina was probably doing its due diligence behind the scenes, but certainly being able to actually put a name, specifically a code name to it all with some receipts was interesting.
So it was a fascinating thing that I think my favorite line from that was, I forget who said it, was that they were going to let Florida State and Clemson basically be their trial balloon. I'm paraphrasing it. We'll let them do all the work, and then we'll see what happens after that. Because Florida State and Clemson did all the legal work. Now, Carolina spent $620,000 on lawyers to do basically nothing, which I'll call that par. That's kind of what happens in these situations. Schools do tend to spend a lot of money on dead ends. How much money has the ACC, has the NCAA spent on lobbying on Capitol Hill? We do a lot of that in college sports. But the whole thing is fascinating. So I asked Brendan who he thought was mostly behind this.
Yeah, so, you know, I think it's something where obviously Bubba Cunningham, the athletic director, is going to be involved just as the person in charge of the athletic department. But obviously when we are talking about matters of the highest order at North Carolina, this is something that's going to involve the president's office, the chancellor's office, the board of trustees, the general counsel, really the highest profile power players in Chapel Hill, people who would eventually, if North Carolina was ever going to factor into conference realignment in some way beyond what it has so far, which is basically as a bystander, those would be the people who would be pulling the strings, making decisions, having those conversations. So it's not necessarily something that was spearheaded by any one person. However, as you mentioned, we did also receive and obtain an email from John Pryor, who's the chairman of the Board of Trustees, from April of 2024, in which he says very clearly, we need to be looking at ways to get out of a conference that no longer serves us. So especially given Pryor's history, the fact that he was obviously instrumental in North Carolina hiring Bill Belichick, the fact that in January of this year, as the Assembly first reported, the president of the UNC system, Peter Hahn, sent a memo directly to Pryor and the chancellor saying, hey, stay in your lane. The fact that the email was coming from Pryor with such strong language is certainly notable as well.
John Pryor is a piece of work. It is worth pointing out, and I'm not sure I get into it in this next clip from the conversation with Brendan Marks. John Pryor, as the chairman of the Board of Trustees, has no power in these matters. Zero. The Board of Trustees is only an advisory board. They don't make decisions. They don't control money for this. They do deal with, I think, things like tenure, right? Which wasn't great recently for UNC. I'll leave that story out of it, but they don't handle this at all. Board of Governors has some say. The head of the university system, Peter Hans, the chancellor, the athletic director. These are all people with, power to make things happen. However, Pryor definitely is influential in terms of his opinion. And I asked Brendan if Pryor and others wanted the ACC to fall apart so they could leave.
I don't know that I would say that, but certainly I think you can tell from the nature of the email that Pryor was frustrated with basically where the ACC was and the position more so that it has put North Carolina in.
Right.
But, I think Bubba Cunningham has made some really good points publicly, both in the last year and really sort of throughout this entire recent wave of realignment that, hey, look, just because you have the most money doesn't directly correlate to winning. And, people seem to forget that simple fact. I mean, and North Carolina especially, maybe more than any other high major athletic department in the country, has traditionally and historically done more with less. North Carolina, especially before hiring Bill Belichick, never invested the most. Even when we're talking about spending in men's basketball, which is the flagship program at the university, they're not in the top five. They are not dominating in terms of expenditures for men's basketball. The Smith Center still needs to be renovated. And yet North Carolina has 6 national championships and has been one of the most successful programs in the entire sport. So, again, money does not directly correlate to success. I think certainly Bubba has a better view of that than maybe someone like Pryor, who is more focused in the monetary figures and doesn't know everything that's going on within the inner workings of the athletic department. But no, certainly I think that he was frustrated. That comes through in the email. Again, the idea that the ACC is no longer serving us. Now, if that was a statement coming from Bubba Cunningham, it would have been national news. The fact that it's coming from, trying to think of the most diplomatic way to say this.
Well, I'll say it.
Coming from a trustee who has certainly perhaps overextended his authority. You mentioned the Board of Trustees does not have authority. No. It took the president of the UNC system to spell that again for John Pryor verbatim.
He got sued, right? Didn't they get sued?
Yeah, I mean there have been multiple instances. They settled for violating, basically going into closed session when they weren't allowed to discuss budgetary measures. There's actually another potential pending suit against the board for the way they handled the Bill Belichick situation, going into closed suit and being willing to make this monetary investment without making it public. So, yes, again, the Board of Trustees at North Carolina has certainly been in the news far more than you traditionally like the board of the university to be.
What I was going to say about John Pryor is that he's essentially a glorified fan. And that's kind of what he is. I don't use that term as a negative. He's a huge fan and obviously has emotional interest in North Carolina being at the forefront of intercollegiate athletics. And to a large extent, that's what they hope to get from Bill Belichick. I do find it interesting that if I had to argue with anything that Brendan said during that conversation, Carolina today in basketball isn't what Carolina should be in basketball. And therein lies a little bit of a dilemma for Bubba Cunningham and Hubert Davis and the rest of the athletic community, is because they should be better. Is it because they have fallen behind on the periphery without a general manager, without some of those other things that, for instance, Duke and a lot of the schools in the SEC have kind of seen the future about building out and treating it like a pro program? Carolina has tried to do it the old way for many, and they were winning a lot of games. Nobody was complaining when Brady Manick and company got to a Final Four, beat Duke twice, beat Duke on the ultimate senior night, then won in the rematch, if you will, in the Final Four over Duke. And I still think there are some fans who are living off of that. It's like the Jets forever lived off Super Bowl III. I think there are still a number of Carolina fans who are living off of those 2 wins, and that's the rivalry speaking. But the truth of the matter is that the program, even that year, remember they were an 8 seed. They weren't a high seed. They were a high seed 2 years ago, lost in the Sweet 16 to Alabama, I think. But in between, they missed the tournament. And this year, probably going to miss the tournament again. So the program kind of needs to get back. I think we mentioned this either this week or last week. How long does it take for a blue blood program to cease being a blue blood program?
Oh, yeah. My one-timer was earlier this week.
It was Monday. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I use the example of Indiana. You go back 25 years. Bob Knight was probably still in Indiana. You go back 25 years. Actually, yeah. Indiana was a blue blood program. Since then, hasn't been great. Indiana has basketball history. I think it would be hard to call them a blue blood program right now. I say the same thing about Nebraska in football. Nebraska's got history, man. I wouldn't call them a blue blood program in football. It takes a long time for stuff like that to go the other way. We're nowhere close to that being the case for North Carolina. But at some point soon, they need to start looking like North Carolina and be a powerhouse again. And right now, they're clearly not. Hopefully that will happen as soon as next year. Victoria, thank you very much. We'll see everybody tomorrow. Go 4 Nations tournament tonight.
Talking sports so you don't have to pretend to know stuff. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, and the college basketball world is coming to a crescendo in March. Let's get ready for it right now. New customers on FanDuel, $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. And I gave you 2 winners last night. 2. I told you Connecticut on the road at Creighton. That was a winner. I told you Kentucky at home to Tennessee. That was a winner. Roll with me, people. $150 of bonus bets you get if you win your first $5 wager, new customers. FanDuel.com/AdamGold. FanDuel.com/AdamGold. Let's play ball. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
The Pack Therapy Podcast is in session thanks to First Horizon Bank. Tim Donnelly here, host of The Drive, alongside Wolfpack legend Casey Morsell.